Presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, the real victory lap is the drive home.
Welcome to Philadelphia for the opening of a 3-game series between the Blue Jays and the Phillies. And if you don't like the Philly fanatic, folks, you've come to the wrong place, because Buck and I are both all in on the best mascot in the sport. Back in the day, the San Diego Chicken gave him a run for his money, but now it's this guy and everybody else.
Yeah, the San Diego Chicken was very good, but this guy is the best. And year in and year out, he is terrific. He knows the personalities of all the players on all the teams. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Right-hander Zach Eflin takes the mound for the Phillies tonight. John Gibbons is in good spirits as he goes out to talk with Joe West, who has the plate tonight. I can only imagine what that conversation might be about. Let's check out the Blue Jay lineup that Gibby has written in there tonight. Granderson leading off. Josh Donaldson is in the 2 spot and 3 for 3 with a home run and a couple of doubles. Can't do a whole lot better than that against Eflin. Yanni Hervis Solarte, one of the few Blue Jays who really had a successful homestand. He swung the bat very well when he was in the lineup.
Well, he sure did, and he's back in there again tonight, as you mentioned, at second base. And they're going to get another look at Zach Eflin. He's only had 1 start against the Blue Jays, and that was his major league debut, and it didn't go very well. Blue Jays really pounded on him. He scored 6 runs in his final inning, and that was just in the 3rd inning. He's 6'6", big guy. Started out in the minor leagues. He's made 3 starts since coming up, and he has made an impression. 17 in the 3rd innings. Opponents hitting 164. This is a real strength of this Phillies ball club, and it's got a lot to do with why they are on the heels of the Atlanta Braves for first place in the NL East. At home, the Philly pitchers have pitched to a 266 earned run average. They're really tough in this ballpark. Defensively, in the outfield, it's Hoskins, Herrera, and Williams from left to right. The shortstop, Pedro Florimo, he is their utility player. This is just his 8th start of the season at shortstop. But he can play everywhere, and he is a super valuable player to this team. And tonight he gets to start at short. Don't be surprised if we see him in another position throughout the course of this weekend series.
Ready to go here in Philadelphia on a warm May evening. There is a big-time threat of weather tomorrow and Sunday. Tonight, though, is beautiful. We are ready to get it started here in Philadelphia with Curtis Granderson, who's also had some good success against Eflin, leading it off for the Blue Jays. And first pitch swinging. It's one of the few, what is that, about just the 4th time or something like that all season that Granderson has swung at the first pitch. Maybe it's because he's had good success against Eflin and he had a hunch what was coming. Lays off outside, a ball and a strike. Curtis 3 for 5 with a couple of homers in his career against Eflin, who made his major league debut against the Blue Jays back in 2016, and it did not go well. Gave up 3 home runs in that game. Pilar, Carrera, Donaldson.
Donaldson hit a grand slam against him, and Donaldson was 3 for 3 in that game against Eflin. Totally different lineup he was facing back in his debut in June of 2016. Donaldson was hitting second, but Bautista was leading off, Encarnacion third, Saunders fourth, Martin, Carrera, Pilar, Travis, and Goins. A totally different lineup. A lot of those names are no longer with the Blue Jays.
2-2, and it's fouled back to our left. We see a good sprinkling of blue jerseys throughout the ballpark, obviously dominated by red, and the alternate color for the Phillies is blue, so there you can see some light blue for the Phillies. But Blue Jays fans, as everybody knows, they travel well, and with this being a weekend series, there's a fair number of them here. Granderson putting up a good fight.
Granderson, like so many of his teammates, did not have a good homestand. He was 2 for 19 in these 7 games of the homestand. And Blue Jays just didn't do anything well during those 7 games. Didn't play well, didn't pitch well.
2-2 again, and another foul back by Granderson. Well, this is what a leadoff hitter's supposed to do. See as many pitches as you can. So far, he's seen almost all fastballs. But try to wear the pitcher down and let your teammates see what the pitcher has. Choking up quite a bit, as you can see, now that it's a 2-strike count. And a swing and a miss to get him one down.
Well, Eflin was Originally drafted by the San Diego Padres. They acquired him from the Dodgers. He went from San Diego to LA. This is what he throws. 60% of the time he's going to throw you a fastball. That last pitch to Granderson was a slider. He'll throw that 27% of the time. Occasional changeup, not too many curveballs, but he's going to be fastball slider for the most part all night long.
There's Josh Donaldson. As we mentioned off the top, 3 for 3 with a homer and a couple of doubles against Eflin. 226, 5 home runs this season. As he takes the fastball just down and away for ball 1. The Phillies in a significant infield shift here against Donaldson. Not only 3 on the left side of the infield, but the second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, way over to the left side. Donaldson hits it that way, but he hits it over his head and all the way to the fence at the 387 mark in left center. And he can glide into second with a 1-out double.
Well, Josh is now 4 for 4 against Eflin. 3 doubles and a grand slam home run. He likes what he sees from the big right-hander. This is a good sign for Donaldson. We mentioned he hit some doubles to the power alley in right center and Rogers center. This time he pulls his ball. It's a good fastball. Great swing, smooth follow through for Donaldson, and he gets his 11th double of the season. Starting to heat up a bit.
So a 1-out double, and now the batter is first baseman Justin Smoak, hitting .248, 6 homers, 26 RBIs. Really hasn't gotten going to the extent that he did at the beginning of last year. We haven't seen that real hot streak from Smoak. John Gibbons has used words like solid for what he's seen from Smoak so far this year. And the on base percentage is very good. He's taken his walks, but not doing quite the damage that he would like to do. Shift on now to the right side. There's a good breaking ball in for a strike.
Yeah, the pitchers have been very conservative in that they don't attack him very aggressively. They just don't have a lot of support behind him, whether it's Teoscar Hernandez or Nervous Solardi hitting in the cleanup spot.
Ground ball into the shift, and that's the shortstop Florimon who will make the play on the first. Smoak retired. Donaldson to third, 2 down. Why are the Phillies 28-19? Well, a big reason is the very impressive starting pitching that they have gotten. The Blue Jays will see a good one in Aaron Nola tomorrow. They'll see a good one in Victoria's Nick Pivetta on Sunday. They won't see Jake Arrieta, but he's a newcomer to the Phillies this year, and he's having a good start to the season.
Yeah, this team has had a stretch of 14 of their last 19 games where they've held opponents to 1 run or fewer. They've really been on a roll, and the Phillies teams haven't had that kind of pitching since 2011. It's the last time they had a winning season. And that pitching staff included the late Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, Roy Oswalt, and Vance Worley.
It's Nick Pivetta from Victoria, BC on the left. He'll be the Sunday starter for the Phillies against the Blue Jays. And he's really taken his game to another level this year, and in the last 3 starts he's only given up 1 run total.
Yeah, he's really throwing the ball very well, and I think this rotation has fed off one another, and the stabilizing factor they got late in the spring, Jake Arrieta.
0-2. Hernandez with a ground ball backhanded at short by Florimon. The throw's offline, and a run will come in to score. Donaldson crosses the plate, and the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead here in the first.
Good on Teoscar Hernandez. He hit it in the hole. He busted it out of the batter's box and hustled down the line and forced Florimon into an error. That's just his 2nd error of the season. Watch how he has to rush this ball because Hernandez is really busting up the line. The throw is wide of the mark, and take a look at the effort right here. The ball is deep in the hole, and good for Teoscar. He put pressure on that defense, and he forced him into an error.
And the Blue Jays will take it, a 1-0 lead here in the top of the first. And the batter will be Yangervis Solarte as he takes the curveball, low ball 1. Solarte getting the start at second base tonight. Devin Travis is on the bench. National League Park, Kendrys Morales is on the bench. Also on the bench, Luke Maile, Dwight Smith Jr. and the Blue Jays recalled Dalton Pompey today. He is with the club. As the 1-0 pitch is lined into the right field corner. That's a fair ball, and up against the wall on a bounce. Hernandez digging for third, getting the wave, and he's going to come in to score without a throw on a booming double by Solarte that makes it 2-0.
Well, Solarte had a terrific homestand. One of the few Blue Jays that hit. He had 385 in a homestand with 3 doubles and 2 home runs, and he gets off to a good start on this road trip. Teoscar Hernandez running from first. You can see the numbers for his 7-game hit streak, over 400. And the defense, look where the right fielder is. He is shaded in the power alley and right. When this ball is hooked down the line, he's got a long way to run. And right off the bat, Louis Rivera, the third base coach, was waving Hernandez all the way around from first base.
Now Kevin Pillar. So the error gives the Blue Jays a run, extends the inning. Solarte takes advantage with an RBI double. And here's Pillar, who, as we mentioned, hit a home run off Eflin back in Eflin's major league debut at Rogers Center 2 seasons ago. A little bit outside, says Joe West. 2 balls, no strikes. Eflin coulda, shoulda been out of this inning, but having to work hard here, throw a lot of extra pitches because of that error at short. And there's a hard hit ball into the left field corner. Solarte can jog home. Pillar is on his way to second with an RBI double, and it is 3-0.
This got to be deja vu all over again for Zach Eflin. He was roughed up in his debut by the Blue Jays at Rogers Center a couple of years ago, and they have jumped all over him. But as Dan mentioned, he's out of the inning if the shortstop makes the play on Hernandez. But that breaking ball backed up over the inner half of the plate, and Kevin Pillar picks up yet another double, his 19th double of the season. That'll drive home Solarte, and the Blue Jays have a quick 3-0 lead.
A lot of loud contact here in the top of the first for the Blue Jays, and a visit to the mound from pitching coach Rick Kranitz for the Philadelphia Phillies to talk with Eflin. That double for Pillar, as you can see, his first hit in his last 20 at bats, so he gets the road trip off on a good note. And the Blue Jays taking advantage. 3 extra base hits here in the top of the first.
We had mentioned how well the Phillies have pitched here at home with a .266 earned run average. That's the second best in all of baseball, behind the Astros. And the Astros starters, they're in another world.
Their overall team ERA is like a run better than any other team in baseball. They're pitching like, like it's the 1960s or something right now. Here's Russell Martin. See if he can keep it going. Runner at second, 2 down, 3-0. And a slider off the outside corner for ball 1. Three doubles and a pivotal error, giving the Blue Jays a 3-0 lead. There's a breaking ball in for a strike. 1-1 now on Martin. You can see the Phillies don't move the defense on the infield nearly as much with Martin up there as they did with Josh Donaldson up there. The second baseman Hernandez still on the right side of the bag. And another strike, 1-2.
Yeah, he's gone to his slider a little bit more now after they jumped on his fastball in this first inning.
The set and the 1-2, and blocked nicely by Jorge Alfaro, but a very aggressive alert Kevin Pillar is going to come to third.
Yeah, Pillar read it very well. Alfaro blocked that ball with his bare hand, and then he was kind of stunned and he didn't react very quickly, but Pillar picks up on it. Look how quickly Kevin breaks for third, and Alfaro feeling the impact of stopping that ball with his bare hand. Watch him react. He gets hit on that right forearm, and then by the time he recognizes Pillar's off toward third, he can't even make a throw.
Puts a little more pressure on him now to block another pitch in the dirt now with Pillar at third base. And whenever one catcher gets hit by the ball and the other catcher's at the plate, the two of them commiserate about it. You can see he and Russell Martin were talking about it, and Russell probably with a lot of, yeah, been there. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count now. And that's a fastball just low at 97, and the count runs full on Martin. Gio Urshela waiting on deck if Martin can get on base and keep it going. Fouled back. 27 pitches now thrown by Eflin here in the top of the first inning. Here comes number 28. And a swing and a miss to get Martin and end it. But the Blue Jays swing the bats very well. They take advantage of a pivotal error as well. Nothing but extra base hits. With Donaldson doubling, Solarte doubling, Pilar doubling, 3-0 early. Is Gabe Kapler. And kind of a bumpy first few days for him to start the regular season, and the fans, this is Philadelphia, they were all over him, but things have gotten better, and the Phillies are now 28-19 on the season. Here's a look at the starting lineup for the Phils. There are a lot of talented young players in this group. An older guy, somewhat older, Carlos Santana, who signed a big 3-year deal, was with Cleveland the last several years, of course. He comes over as a free agent to be their first baseman, and Jorge Alfaro, a very strong arm, and recently, Buck, a very strong bat.
Starting to swing the bat a little bit better, hitting .345 over his last 9 games. They will get their first look at Sam Gaviglio. This is his 4th game, his second consecutive start. Gaviglio pitched very well in his only start for the Blue Jays. He was acquired from the Kansas City Royals on March 21st, very late in the spring.
For a player to be named later, and he's got a chance to stick in the rotation for a while, it seems. Again, Jaime Garcia will start tomorrow for the Blue Jays, but Gaviglio chosen over Biagini is the guy to get a next start. And he's in there with a strike to Cesar Hernandez. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, Gaviglio works very quickly, and I think that's an advantage for any pitcher. He keeps the pressure on the hitter. He throws a lot of strikes. He's in the strike zone. The only batter he walked in his last outing, his only start, was the last batter he faced in that ball game. He walked Matt Olson, and he was out of the game. That was in the 6th inning.
Little change up there, and it's 2-2. Primarily the two-seam fastball and the slider. Occasional curve, occasional change, and that was a good one to the left-hand hitting Hernandez, or the switch hitting Hernandez, who's batting from the left side now. As Buck mentioned, he works very quickly. Everybody loves that. Russell Martin loves it. The defense behind him loves it. Big power bat in Rhys Hoskins, although a struggling hitter right now. He's on deck. The 3-2 grounded out to second. Up with it Solarte, and an easy play for the first out.
Solarte back at second base, making his 17th start at second base. In the outfit is Granderson and Hernandez in the corners, and Kevin Pillar. As good as he is in the outfield, this is only his 5th game here at Citizens Bank Park, and it's a very unusual center field. A lot of nooks and crannies and a lot of different angles out there. He's got to get himself comfortable with how deep to play in this ballpark. It's not a traditional outfield fence that you have to deal with here in Philadelphia.
Rhys Hoskins, the batter. He's the left fielder for the Phillies. .239 with 6 home runs, and a guy who, as you know, Buck, burst onto the scene last year. Hit 18 home runs in his first 34 games in the big leagues last year. Know how many guys have ever done that? You're looking at it. But they didn't hit a home run in his last 16 games last year. Got off to a good start this year, but he's only hitting .157 right now in the month of May.
Yeah, it's just about the league adjusting to Rhys Hoskins. He certainly created a lot of attention for himself, and everybody started to game plan for him, and you can see he swung a pitch way off the plate outside. Played a half a season, 50 games in total. He finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting last year. And he did such a great job when he came up. Still, as much success that he had, he only hit 259. So he's got some holes.
Martin slides to the outside again, and that ball is sent foul out of play. We saw that was a fastball, but we saw Gaviglio to the righties in his first start throw those 2-strike sliders down and away to the righties over and over and over with a lot of success.
Yeah, he was able to throw it as a strike to ball breaking ball, which means it starts in the strike zone. Hitters pick up on it when it's in the strike zone, and it breaks down and away. That's it right there.
And a weak ground ball to third. Big hop for Donaldson, and in time, 2 down.
One of the benefits you get as a pitcher when you throw a lot of strikes and you work very quickly is you keep the infielders very interested. They're always on their toes because the next pitch could be hit in their direction. Now, I tell you what, as a catcher, I remember it vividly. When the pitcher works quickly, you get a lot of real good defensive plays and support behind them.
2 down on a couple of ground balls, and here's a really interesting player and a really talented player, Odubel Herrera, hitting .343 on the season, and recently saw end a 45-game on base streak. Reached base at least once in 45 consecutive games. First pitch ground ball out, and how about a nice tidy bottom of the first for Sam Gaviglio.
BJ 4569 to earn My Blue Jays points for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Code must be entered by 4 a.m. Good news for the Blue Jays guys. Troy Tulowitzki had a great consultation with the surgeon, and he has been cleared to run flat ground as he continues his rehabilitation from bone spurs surgery back in April.
All right, Arash. Well, the Blue Jays still hopeful of getting Troy Tulowitzki back at some point. As we've mentioned on a number of occasions, they have used 7 different players at shortstop, including Gio Urshela, who leads off the second here. 3-0 Blue Jays. Aledmus Diaz trying to get healthy. He's not yet on rehab, but it figures that he'll be back at some point relatively soon. And John Gibbons would love to see a healthy Tulowitzki back. Check swing. He'll peel down to first, and no swing, says the first base umpire Doug Eddings. So 2 balls 2 strikes on Urshela, who will be followed by Gaviglio. National League rules, of course, here in Philadelphia. Gaviglio getting ready to swing the bat, and then Granderson, the leadoff man.
Joe West got hit by that foul tip, and Farrell turned around and said, "Hey, are you okay?" And Joe said, "You can't hurt me."
And even if you couldn't, I wouldn't let you know about
it. Not a chance.
And a swing and a miss at a ball running down and in under his hands. Third strikeout tonight for Eflin.
Pretty good movement on that fastball, down and in. That's strikeout number 3, as Dan mentioned, and it's a good fastball. Watch it move underneath the bat of Urshela. He's got great stuff. There's no question about that, and he has pitched well and had a rough first inning. I don't know if we mentioned or not that error has been changed to a base hit. So now all those runs in the first are all earned.
So that's bad news for Zach Eflin statistically. It is good news for Teoscar Hernandez, who instead of reaching on an error is credited with an RBI single. Here's Gaviglio, and you saw he's had 5 at-bats in the big leagues, has a base hit.
Happened last year in Colorado. He had a leadoff single in the 3rd inning that sparked a 3-run inning. He looks like he can hit. Of course, we haven't seen him swing the bat yet. Yeah, he had back-to-back starts in Washington and in Denver against the Rockies.
Good take.
3 feet outside.
Just trying to be positive, you know. They can't all be Jay Haps, you know. He'll start Sunday. He'll get a chance to swing the bat. How about this? Hit hard left center, and this ball's going to the wall. And Gaviglio looked like he almost stopped. I don't know if he thought the ball was caught or if he lost it. But then with a bit of a small smirk on his face, he accelerates into second. And the dugout is loving this.
See, I told you he looked like he could hit. Well, he smoked that ball into the alley. Hoskins left his feet, and I think Gaviglio thought that Hoskins caught it. Because once he rounded first, he stopped. And then he looked up, and they were chasing the ball on the warning track. I mean, he drills this line drive. Hoskins dives for it, but it's past him all the way up to the fence. And watch Gaviglio. This is a beautiful swing. And then he runs and he thinks, oh my, he's going to catch it. Look at, yeah, he caught it. Oh no, he didn't. First big league double.
Good thing Tim Leeper was there to tell him to keep running.
That ball was past Hoskins before he got it. Remember, he's a first baseman who made the transition to the outfield last year when he came up.
First career extra base hit for Sam Gaviglio. 4th double of the night already for the Blue Jays. And here's Granderson, who again in this at bat swung at the first pitch. It's now a ball and a strike. And none of the doubles have been cheap. They have all been ropes. Granderson with a high fly ball left center field. Herrera, Hoskins, and Herrera makes the catch. Gaviglio is going to tag, and he'll come to third. But what a tremendous catch made by Odubel Herrera out in left center.
We mentioned how challenging this outfield fence is here in Philadelphia, and Herrera knows it well. This, of course, his home ballpark. But what an effort. There's a fence that juts out right where he caught the ball. He goes up high on the wall, catches it, and then gets to his feet quickly. But he clearly made a heck of a catch to take extra bases away from Granderson. He's calling for it all the ways to make sure Hoskins peels out of his way. And a pretty good piece of base running by Gaviglio as he tagged up. He never left second. Figuring if it's off the wall, he could score, but he was able to tag and advance on the out.
And talking it over with Luis Rivera at third, 2 down. And the batter is Josh Donaldson. Donaldson doubled and scored in the first. 3-0 Blue Jays. They've got 5 hits already, 4 of them doubles. And it's just down and in for ball 1. You always wonder about a pitcher who's not used to doing much hitting, who runs the bases and then has to come out and pitch the next half inning. Something to keep an eye on. Although Gaviglio's had a little time to catch his breath both at second and at third.
Yeah, we saw that this year with Deck McGuire when he was pitching in relief. He had a couple good innings and he got a base hit, had to run the bases. And he didn't have the same stuff when he went back out for the next half inning. The Blue Jays, in preparation for this interleague series, had their pitchers hitting and running the bases in Toronto over the last homestand, and Caballo was part of that. DeMarlo Hale makes sure they all prepare as well as they can, and Pete Walker, he will let them know who he thinks will be pitching in this series, and they'll all go out and take some batting practice and run the bases. Of course, you remember Chen-Ming Wong, the great Yankee pitcher who got himself injured running the bases in interleague play, and he was never the same pitcher after that.
Jaime Garcia gets the start tomorrow. A lot of years with St. Louis, of course, so he's used to the National League style of play. And Jay Happ, fresh off his big outing swinging the bat a couple starts ago, he gets the start on Sunday. Donaldson draws the walk. Jamie Campbell's got an update. Well, and again, the idea for Tampa is when they face a team with a lot of right-handed batters at the top of the lineup, they'll start a guy like Romo and then bring in whoever the starter is after that slew of right-handed batters, figuring that the starter might be able to go 2.5 times around the order maybe, but only see those right-handed batters at the top twice instead of 3 times. So it's just the Rays saying, you know what, we're not loaded with experienced starters. We got a right-handed reliever in Romo who we think can get righties out. And it only works against, they'll only try it against certain teams. This is the 3rd time I think they've done it.
Right.
And he's starting again Sunday, Romo.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Starting again Sunday. They're using a reliever tomorrow as well. Stanik's going to start tomorrow. They're playing Baltimore. The first 5 batters in the Baltimore lineup all right-handed, but he couldn't get that 3rd out in the 1st inning.
The Blue Jays with the runners on the corners, 2 down, already leading 3-0. As they bat here in the top of the 2nd, Justin Smoak was retired on a ground out his first time up. High in the air to left field. Hoskins will have a play. And that's all for the Jays as they leave a couple of men on. Gaviglio does hit a double, but they strand him at 3rd.
Nothing to the bottom of the 2nd. Otherwise, it has been a rough month of May for this ball club that has now lost 9 of its last 11 and coming off a dreadful homestand. And it was afterwards that Josh Donaldson spoke out about what has gone on. The former MVP had this to say, quote, "We have to look in the mirror at the end of the night and say, hey, what can I do to get better? I know everybody in here is working their tail off. We're going to try and adjust the issues as much as possible and go out there and do a better job." Donaldson went on to say, quote, "I need to go out there and do a better job of what is called of me. The heart of the matter is it's one of those things where you go through spells where guys are making pitches. I need to do a better job of executing when I get a good pitch to hit." He got one in the 1st inning, got on base, but it's the Blue Jays former MVP, their leader, who is taking accountability here after a real rough start to the month, Dan.
All right, Arash, thank you. And a lot of things have to go right for the Blue Jays to get back on the right side of the 500 mark, but Buck, right at or near the top of the list is Donaldson being healthy and Donaldson being Donaldson.
Yeah, no question about it. He's an MVP player. He can win games by himself when he is healthy, but he looks better and better with each game, both with the bat and with his arm. The arm strength appears to be coming back now, and he's dealt with it all season long. But you're right, he makes things happen, and he takes the heat off everybody else in this lineup. He's done it before, and he'll do it again.
Bottom of the second, 3-0 Blue Jays. Sam Gaviglio retired the side in order in the bottom of the first. And now misses just inside. A ball 1 to Carlos Santana, the first baseman for the Phillies. Again, the former Cleveland Indian, switch hitter, got some pop. Only hitting .202, but he's hitting .290 over the last 3 weeks or so. And a guy who will always take a walk, averages almost 100 walks per season through the course of his career. And the Phillies, you know, this was supposed to be, they're trending in the right direction. Even coming into this season, everybody knew they were trending in the right direction. The younger players were getting better. But then, Buck, in the offseason, they went out and spent $60 million on Carlos Santana and $75 million on Jake Arrieta. Kind of making this bold proclamation. That's a fair ball. Smoak's got it and feeds Gaviglio covering. Making a proclamation saying, you know what? We think we're ready to be pretty good now. And they are pretty good now. 28-19. And they're right there neck and neck with Atlanta atop the National League East. And I don't know if they're considered to be ahead of schedule or something, but they've got the look of a potential contender right now.
No, they sure do. And I asked Rob Thompson about that, the bench coach for the Phillies. Of course, he was with the Yankees for 10 years. He said, this reminds me of what the Yankees were last year at the start of the season. Everybody was kind of writing them off. Nobody was counting them to be a contender. Then all of a sudden, Judge started to put things together. And then some of the other guys started to come along. And now they get halfway through the season. Sanchez gets hot. And, oh, we got a chance now. And then they just started to gain confidence. He said, we see that same confidence building with our younger players here. And they would go to Rob Thompson, obviously, because of his track record with winning teams. And so long with the Yankees. Rob spent 28 seasons in the Yankees organization. So when he speaks, a lot of those young players really listen up. He said, we can do the same thing the Yankees did last year. Right now he's not cooperating with us because he's standing behind a post. But he said that he likes what he sees here. And I'm with you, Dan. I think the Phillies and their front office and their ownership will buy into this and commit to a big player at the trade deadline.
Michael Franco, the third baseman, is the batter, and Gaviglio falls behind 3-0. And there is a lot of talk around baseball that when this great free agent class hits in the offseason, that somebody, maybe Harper, maybe Machado, is going to be wearing Phillies pinstripes next year. They've got money to spend.
No, they sure do. And there's a lot of Oriole ties here in this front office for Philadelphia. The president, Andy MacPhail, was a longtime president of the Orioles. Matt Klintek was with MacPhail in Baltimore. And Klintek is the GM here in Philadelphia. And they got a lot of money and they want to spend it.
And they've got a lot of young players, and young players generally mean you're not paying them very much money, which is why you've got money to spend on other guys. In fact, the Phillies' 25-man roster is the youngest in baseball. The Blue Jays is the oldest roster in baseball. Now, some of that is when the Blue Jays went out and got people in the offseason. They brought in Granderson and O and Clippard and Axford, older players. So I think we both believe the Blue Jay roster is going to get younger, whether it's later this season or next season. There's no question it's going to get younger. But right now, the Phillies have the youngest 25-man roster in the sport.
Yeah, and they have some good players, and this is one of them, 24-year-old Nick Williams. He came from the Texas Rangers in the Cole Hamels trade. It's his second season here in Philadelphia. But Franco's 25, Alfaro's 24, Altair is not in the lineup tonight, is 27, Herrera's 26, Hoskins is 25. Their position players are very young.
And Nola, Pivetta, young as well, in the rotation. Meanwhile, Sam Gaviglio, 5 up, 5 down, all on ground balls, and it's an 0-2 count now on Williams, hitting .231.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you throw ground balls. It doesn't make any difference where you're playing. Ground balls don't go out of the ballpark. So Gaviglio pitching with a lot of confidence right now, and this is the type of pitcher that he needs to be. A guy that throws a lot of strikes, makes good quality pitches, sinks the ball, and gets his breaking ball over.
0-2 again, and a fastball sails outside.
When you're in the batter's box and you see a pitcher like Gaviglio get the ball back, toe the rubber, and anxious to throw the next pitch, it sends a message that he feels good about what he's throwing.
Tried to run that two-seamer back over the inside corner, but he missed inside. In the air, back of third. Donaldson gives way to Urshela. And Sam Gaviglio has retired the first 6 Phillies that he's faced tonight. Homestand, and John Gibbons didn't try. He called it, quote, a brutal homestand, and the numbers bear that out. They lost 6 out of 7 at home. A couple of particularly painful losses as the bullpen gave up leads late, and Gibby and a number of the players, they all seem to be happy to maybe get a fresh start on the road. Sometimes you like to come back home, but when the homestand doesn't go well, sometimes getting away feels better.
Yeah, it sure does. And you're out here on the road. You spend a lot more time at the ballpark when you're on the road, and everybody's out working early. And this is a road trip and an opportunity to get things back on the right track. And tonight they're off to a good start to do that.
Teoscar Hernandez a part of that. And again, that play in the top of the first has been changed from an error on the shortstop Florimon to an infield hit and an RBI for Teoscar Hernandez, his 20th RBI on the season. Ground ball up the middle, and he's got his second hit of the night. The Pitch Tracker is brought to you by Coors Light, official beer of Major League Baseball. With Buck Martinez and Arash Madani, I'm Dan Schulman. First game of 3 between the Blue Jays and the Phillies here at Citizens Bank Park. And a good start. The Jays got 3 in the first, had 4 hits, including 3 doubles, had another double in the second, but left a couple of men on. Yangervis Solarte hit a rocket into the right field corner for an RBI double back in the first inning. And he's back on a hot streak.
You know, I don't think he was really thrilled about being the DH when they DH'd him up there that day. And it kind of brought out the best of him, put a little fire under him, and he is swinging bat very well.
And again, it'll be interesting to see in the coming days, and maybe this series is an exception because it's hard for Morales to get in there, but between Solarte, Travis, Donaldson, who of course could DH every now and again, and Morales, you've got 4 guys and maybe 3 available spots. Obviously Donaldson figures to be in there almost every day, if not every day. It's just a question of where, if he gets the odd start at DH. And the other option is to put Solarte at short, just see how that goes.
Yeah, and you could probably do that from time to time as long as he continues to swing the bat the way he is right now. But it's always a challenge when you get into a National League ballpark how to keep everybody involved. For Smoak, he has played 4 games coming into this series here in Philadelphia. He's had a total of 3 at-bats. But the last time he came here with the Blue Jays, Edwin Encarnacion was playing first base.
In this series, you'd figure Smoak starts all 3 games and that Morales comes off the bench all 3 games. Smoak just sat out a game yesterday afternoon. There's a 2-0 breaking ball in for a strike, 2-1.
Now the Blue Jays have beefed up their bench a little bit for this series, calling up Dalton Pompey that McGuire was sent back to the minor leagues.
And another roster move coming tomorrow is Jaime Garcia will be activated. He'll make the start tomorrow afternoon. So somebody will have to go, and it could be a number of different people. There could be a couple of corresponding moves, but theoretically it could be just a one-day thing for Dalton Pompey. To wait and see how it plays out.
Solakti's having some problems with some bugs or something down at home plate. It's created problems for him throughout this whole at bat.
In on his hands, 2-2.
But he's been swatting at things down there and trying to get him out of his line of sight. Had a pretty good cut at that. There's Dalton, who has been swinging the bat pretty well. White Smith Jr. hit his first big league home run yesterday. Devin Travis not in the starting lineup. So the bench is loaded with some potential pinch hitters for sure.
Would you like to have in the National League Park? Good job to get a piece of that. Eflin is up to 57 pitches already. That's really become a huge part of the game within the game in the last 10-15 years, is get the pitch count up, get the guy out of there. Although sometimes the guys coming into the 5th and 6th inning are throwing harder and maybe throwing better than the starter. It's just that they're one-inning guys. But it all can add up. If you force Gabe Kapler to use more relievers tonight than he wants to, he might not have somebody at his disposal tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the big thing about a first game of a series. You'd like to get into that bullpen right out of the box. So you put the pressure on the other team. Use some of those relievers, and they might not be available for games 2 or 3.
3-2 with a runner going. Swing and a miss. Throw down, and they got him. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. Alfaro throws out his 8th runner in the last 11 stolen base attempts. And John Gibbons saying, hang on a second. Hernandez is walking off the base. But the Blue Jays are at least on the phone to the video room to see if there's any chance they want to ask for a replay review.
Alfaro, a very strong arm, but watch his mechanics as he comes out from behind the chute. He's very patient and then just unloads a laser down to second base. I mean, watch how he gets on top of this ball. Boom. And that is a low line drive right into the base runner. I mean, that's as good a throw as you will see.
Absolutely.
And he was very, very deliberate. He got himself turned around. He shifted his foot behind him and then really drove through that ball and got on top of it. Threw a seed to second.
So 2 down just like that. And Kevin Pillar is the batter. Pillar snapped an 0 for 19 drought with an RBI double into the left field corner in the 1st inning. Hits it hard again, but he bounces it foul. Seven base runners already for the Blue Jays in this game. Pillar ties himself up in knots and strikes out to end the top of the 3rd. 3-0 Blue Jays going bottom 3.
#1 Blue Jays app, where you can customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Blue Jays home screen icons and features such as the MLB TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, radio broadcasts, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today. The news in baseball today: Hanley Ramirez designated for assignment. The Red Sox still owe him $15 million, but then they want nothing to do with the $22 million next year.
Yeah, he had a vesting option if he got to a certain number of plate appearances this year that would kick in $22 million next year. It also has to do with Dustin Pedroia's coming back. They need the roster spot. Brock Holt goes into more of a super utility role, and Mitch Moreland's a pretty good player who's only been playing half the time because Hanley Ramirez can only play first base and DH. So what this means is the Red Sox now have 7 days to trade Ramirez, or they just release him, and then whoever signs him pays the prorated minimum, and the Red Sox have to pay the rest.
Yeah, and the Red Sox are already paying $18 million of Pablo Sandoval's contract, and he's playing for the Giants. And they're paying Rusney Castillo $11 million, and he's in the minor leagues.
Right in the outside corner, and Gaviglio jumps out in front 0-2 on Jorge Alfaro. Ramirez got off to a good start this year, but was something like 0 for his last 20, and over a longer stretch back a couple of weeks really hadn't been swinging the bat very well. But this was still something that raised a lot of eyebrows. Obviously a big name, a guy with a really good career resume, and he'll get picked up somewhere, but I got to believe it's got to be an American League team at this point of his career.
I think so, and it's probably going to be, well, certainly going to be after he clears those 7 days and he's not traded, because everybody's going to keep Boston on the hook for his salary.
One-two, and a ground ball to third. That is a foul ball. Alfaro would have beaten it out, but the crowd wasn't looking at the umpire's call, so they're going to be disappointed in a moment as Alfaro makes his way all the way back to the plate.
Donaldson has to make the throw. What a terrific barehanded grab. He can't wait to hear the umpire's call, fair or foul. But a terrific barehanded throw, and this is another encouraging sign. He got a lot on that throw with an awful quick release, so that arm strength's getting better and better.
So Alfaro all the way back down to the plate, catching his breath. Joe West giving him a little bit of extra time to step back in. Gaviglio's retired the first 6 he's faced tonight.
And we mentioned right at the top of the show how important it was for Gaviglio to be aggressive. The Phillies have never seen him before. So the fewer pitches you give them, the less information they're going to have, and you will continue to have the upper hand as you work your way through this lineup. Doesn't hurt also that he's throwing more strikes than balls, and that creates a swing mindset in this Phillies lineup.
And he got him. First strikeout of the night for the right-hander. Jamie Campbell's got another update. All right, Jamie, thank you. Also in that game, Luis Severino struck out Shohei Ohtani, and Ohtani's first at bat of the night. The Angels heading to New York after taking 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. Pedro Florimon is the batter. The switch hitting utility infielder Buck talked about is getting a start at shortstop tonight. Scott Kingery, who's gotten a lot of time at short, not in the lineup for the Phillies. Granderson there. 8 up and 8 down for Sam Gaviglio. What is it the location? Is it that he's keeping him off balance by changing his pitches? What is it that you like about it?
I like the fact, well, we've talked about this, he works quickly. So that doesn't get a hitter an awful lot of time to get set in the box and go over a lot of different things. They don't know him. So the more strikes you throw, the better off you are. But it's movement, location, and mixing his pitches. He throws all of his pitches in the strike zone. And there's a good example of it. And we have talked about this in his last start. When you throw a lot of strikes, umpires get into a rhythm too. They anticipate a ball being in the strike zone.
Zach Eflin, the pitcher, gives it a ride to center field. And Zach Eflin has hit it out. So Gaviglio doubles in his at bat. Eflin homers in his, and the Phillies are on the board.
For Eflin, that's his third extra base hit, his first career home run. He had 2 doubles back in 2016. His only hit this season was a single, and now he's got one in the books. And you can see the pitchers out in the bullpen, how excited they were for Eflin. It's your first major league home run. And he cuts into that lead. That's the first base runner that the Phillies have had against Sam Gaviglio.
Now here's Cesar Hernandez up to take one, which he did, maybe a couple more. As Gaviglio left the fastball just in from the outside corner, got a little bit more of the plate than he was looking for, and Eflin hit it a long way. So Gaviglio retires to first state, but then Eflin brings the crowd to life here in Philadelphia. 3-1 the score now.
Well, when Kevin Pillar gives up on a home run, you know it's hit deep. And he went back, took a look at it, and sized it up quickly and saw it was going to be deep into that Phillies bullpen. Creates a celebration out in that bullpen with all those pitchers.
400 plus. Solarte, quick throw to first just in time to get Hernandez. And that's all for the Phillies. They get a run on the home run by the pitcher. 3-1 Blue Jays.
And start the afternoon game here in Philadelphia. Garcia told me this week his body is where he wants it to be after going on the DL with that minor shoulder inflammation. Now, critical for him tomorrow will be fastball command and also using the two-seamer more. But beyond anything else, when Garcia gets behind counts, that's when it's unraveled for him this season. Tomorrow can go well, Dan, if Jaime gets ahead and gets strike one.
And that has been emphasized to him by manager and pitching coach alike. The stuff moves a lot, but he's got to throw enough near the zone to get him to bite.
Unfortunately, he's got that good fastball, but the hitters are hitting .380 against his fastball this season. The major league average for hitters hitting a fastball is .264. So he just hasn't been consistent with the quality pitches, and he'd like to get that back, and maybe the shoulder was barking at him to a bit where he couldn't command the fastball, but we'll get a good chance to see that tomorrow afternoon.
And that also means with Gaviglio starting tonight, McGuire being sent out, Garcia starting tomorrow, that it looks like Joe Biagini, at least for the moment, available out of the bullpen tonight and tomorrow. Although again, things are always subject to change. If Garcia comes up with something tomorrow, not able to go, or the next time around, maybe Biagini's back in there. But it looks like Big Joe's down in the bullpen.
Yeah, he is in the bullpen tonight, and he is available to work out of the bullpen tonight. There you can see him sitting down in that bullpen. So he will be one of the guys that John Gibbons can call upon.
Russell Martin leading off the fourth. Blue Jays up 3-1. Martin struck out back in the first. And gets a breaking ball in for a strike, 1-2. Martin, Urshela, and then Gaviglio, who doubled his first time up, only to be outdone by the opposing pitcher, who homered. And another breaking ball to get him. Martin strikes out for the second time tonight.
Eflin, after that rocky first inning, has done a pretty good job of settling down. And this is another good breaking ball. A tight slider. Goes straight down and away from Russell Martin. So that's 5 strikeouts now for Eflin. We mentioned that Eflin was originally drafted by the San Diego Padres. And he was traded by San Diego to the Dodgers in December of 2014. Next day, he was traded from the Dodgers to Philadelphia.
Yeah, he was a member of the Dodgers organization for 24 hours. Matt Kemp was in the first deal. He was traded as part of a package for Matt Kemp, and then the next day he was traded to Philadelphia as part of a package for Jimmy Rollins. The guy who's had surgery on both knees and other assorted ailments. Last year dealt with some physical problems as well, shoulder problem, as Urshela hits a soft liner to second, 2 down. Also an elbow strain. Settling in right now. Let's see how he handles Gaviglio, who lined a ball to left center field for a double his first time up, becoming just the 9th Blue Jay pitcher to record an extra base hit. Only one of them has 2 extra base hits, and that's Marcus Stroman.
Stroman has a home run and a double. Gaviglio, he put a pretty good swing on it. It's not quite as good as Eflin put on him. You know, with all of the troubles that Eflin has had, you got to remember he's 24 years old. There's a lot of upside to this guy.
And not a ton of pressure on him to lead the rotation or anything like that. They've got other guys who can do that. Arrieta, obviously the veteran guy they brought in. The Blue Jays won't see him this series. Gaviglio puts the bat on the ball again.
You know, that was a very good sign, bringing in Arrieta. Obviously, he's got World Series experience. He's a terrific pitcher, a great worker. So Arrieta can come in here and be the lead dog for this young pitching staff. He doesn't have to be the ace, but he certainly can give them all of the experience that he has gained and pass that along to them. And that will shorten up their development as well.
Two-two.
That's pretty good. He can get to a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and foul it off.
This is one of these guys where coaches will say, you know, he's not just a pitcher, he's a baseball player. he's fighting him up there, putting good swings on the ball. And that's strike 3 at the knees. 7 strikeouts now for Eflin. Phillies coming up down 3-1 as we go bottom 4. break, is 34 years of age. I think if you were to say to people, you know, what kind of a career is Nick Markakis? People say, yeah, he's had a nice career. He's over 2,100 hits at the age of 34. It may be a long shot, but it's not an impossibility that he winds up with 3,000 hits in his career.
Yeah, and he is in tremendous shape. He can play every day, and he takes great care of himself, so there's no reason to think that he can't get another nice contract after this year. He's a free agent at the end of this year. But he's been a good player for a long time, and you're right, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, anybody that's in that 2,000 hit category certainly has had a great career.
Listen to his plate appearances over the years. 710, 697, 711, 709, 716. There's just 1 year, 2012, he had an injury, played in 104 games. Every other year, he's played virtually every day.
Yeah, and that's why I say he's going to be able to play a number of years.
Yep.
Keeps himself in great shape.
Rhys Hoskins leads it off. Sam Gaviglio and the Blue Jays up 3-1, bottom of the fourth, out hitting the Phillies 6-1. The only hit for the Phillies, a home run by Zach Eflin, the pitcher. Hoskins was retired on a ground ball to third his first time. Gaviglio was the last batter in the top half of the fourth and was called out on strikes after doubling his first time out. An efficient pitch count thus far for Gaviglio as he throws a 2-0 breaking ball in for a strike. 2-1. I think any pitcher who goes out there and doesn't walk people is a guy that John Gibbons and Pete Walker are going to be very high on right now, given recent developments. He said as he goes to 3 balls in the strike.
No, but you're right. The starting pitching especially is really giving him too many walks, and there's just nothing you can do. It elevates your pitch count, obviously, and you got to go to the bullpen much earlier than you would like.
Swinging a foul off, and did that or the backswing maybe? Did something get a piece of Martin, or did he just lose his balance?
No, it was a foul tip, and it hit him on the shin guard somewhere, either top of the foot or something. But watch where this ball hits him. Yeah, right on top of that instep on his left foot. And he's got a pad on it, but still it takes quite a blow right at the top.
Shift on for the Blue Jays, 3 on the left side of the infield. And the 3-2 sliders down and away, ball 4, and there is the first walk. Surrender denied by Gaviglio. And it'll bring up the most dangerous hitter that the Phillies have had this year, Odubel Herrera. We've already seen a great catch from Herrera out in left center field. Herrera's a 26-year-old from Venezuela in his 4th year in the big leagues, all with the Phillies. Last 3 years hit 297, 286, 281. This year 341 right now with an OPS well over 900.
Second in the league in hitting at the start of play behind Nick Markakis of the Braves. He was a Rule 5 player. Signed with the Texas Rangers, and the Phillies picked him up in the Rule 5 draft in December of 2014.
And you would never in a million years teach a kid to set up the way that he sets up in the batter's box, but it works for him.
It sure does. It's not that different than Tony Batista, the third baseman for the Blue Jays. But you can see the batting leaders. Herrera right behind Nick Markakis. What do you hear from Matt Kemp? They were ready to write him off and send him off into the sunset. And he said, wait a minute, I still got game.
People thought they were acquiring him just to flip him somewhere and get rid of the contract. But Freddie Freeman, one of the most underrated stars in baseball, year in and year out.
And a joy to talk to. Loves to play the game. Has dealt with some injuries that have really knocked down his numbers. Broken hand last year. But he is a terrific player. And how about Scooter Gennett? I mean, anybody could have had him a couple of years ago. He was let go by the Brewers, ended up in Cincinnati, and he's having a heck of a year.
Leadoff man aboard for the Phillies here in the bottom of the 4th. And the 1-1 to Herrera. Big swing and a pop-up back out of play into the seats below us. 1-2. Herrera, one of the cornerstones of this Phillies movement into what they hope are contending years in the future. Again, one of the younger players, just 26. You know, I think at the beginning of the season, everybody said, well, Washington's the best team and Miami's the worst team and everything else, who knows. But Gabe Kapler and the Phillies, along with the Atlanta Braves, are fighting for top spot right now in the National League East. And there's a long way to go, of course. The Mets and the Nationals are both just 3 games out. Nationals have dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Blocked by Martin. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And in the National League Central, you've got 4 teams within 3.5 games. And in the National League West, you've got 4 teams within 3.5 games.
Yeah, there are a lot more good ball clubs in the National League than there appear to be in the American League. But, you know, everybody was quick to write off the Pittsburgh Pirates after they traded Garrett Cole, and they traded McCutchen, and everybody said, well, they're in a rebuilding mode. Clint Hurdle said all along, hey, we're not rebuilding. We think we can win this division. And they're right there.
2-2.
Milwaukee's done a nice job with the players they have acquired. Travis Shaw a couple of years ago, Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich. They picked up some real good players.
Yep. Got a really good bullpen.
Arizona's a team that's kind of puzzling, as Paul Goldschmidt hasn't done a thing. Then they're half game out. They are 1-9 in their last 10. They've lost 7 in a row.
They're just not scoring runs at all right now. They've had some injuries in their rotation. And the Dodgers, as poorly as they've played and as much has gone wrong, are 3.5 games out of first place. 2-2, and another foul back by Herrera.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are going to get back Kershaw sooner or later. The Giants, they're hanging in there too. They don't have Bumgarner. So it's a situation where those 2 teams can put a charge on when they get their stud pitchers back.
A leadoff walk to Hoskins, and now Herrera fouling off pitch after pitch from Sam Gaviglio. Blue Jays up 3-1, bottom 4s. These 2 teams open up a 3-game weekend series. Wow. As you have said often, that's a pitch a pitcher's got to have.
Yeah, and you make many good pitches, and then you go to a different spot in the strike zone, and Russell Martin received it very well. Joe West didn't like it. He thought it was off the plate inside, and Perez making sure. But that's a tough one. You set up a batter for 1 pitch. You make your pitch, and then you don't get the call. So now you go back and regroup and try to figure out where to go next on this full count pitch.
Let's see if Hoskins is running. He is not. And the 3-2, a big swing and a miss. And the batting helmet pops right off the head of Herrera, who then beats up on it with his bat in frustration.
That's that split changeups that Gaviglio throws so well. And it just bottom drops out of it, and he's able to get a big strikeout after Herrera fouled off pitch after pitch.
You showed his grip in the last telecast against Oakland, that he holds it like a splitter, and I asked him a couple of days ago, should I call it a splitter or should I call it a change? What do you call it? He said, I call it a split fosh change. And I said, well, you know, on TV that's a lot, you know. Yeah. What should we call it?
What it is basically is a grip that allows him to take velocity off the pitch, and Tom Henke threw that pitch like that, and it was just basically an off-speed pitch that has movement. It's not a full-blown spit finger pitch that breaks. Pitchers are always trying to find a good grip that they can throw a changeup with, something to take the velocity off their fastball, and for Gaviglio, it's that split grip. The reason he sets it in his hand here is because it takes a lot of movement. You can see how he has to really jam it in there. And if you were to do that in your glove, you would tip the hitter off to the pitch that's coming.
So he starts in the split grip every single pitch.
Yeah, and then he can move that grip to a fastball or a breaking ball with very little movement inside his glove. But you can see how meticulous he is in setting that grip in his hand. Now he's going to jam it in there between those first two fingers. And if he changes, he can change it right there in his glove without much movement. If you were to start with a fastball grip and then had to jam it in your glove, everybody in the ballpark could see it.
This is the first inning tonight, really, where Gaviglio's not had pinpoint control. Even though he gave up a home run to Eflin last inning, gave up a run that inning, he was ahead of just about every hitter. But in this inning, a walk to Hoskins, a long battle with Herrera before he strikes him out, and now 3-1 to Santana. And there's ball 4, the second one that he's given up tonight. The Phillies see more pitches per plate appearance than any team in baseball.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
And Shulman to Buck Martinez and Arash Madani. What a beautiful warm day it was in Philadelphia here today. People out everywhere in the city. This is, of course, the beginning of a holiday weekend in the United States. It's Memorial Day on Monday. The Blue Jays, that's why their game Monday in Boston is a day game. 2 on with a 1 out, and here's Maikel Franco, the third baseman for the Phillies. And relatively speaking, compared to most of his teammates, he's been around for a while. He's still not an old guy, but he's been with the Phillies for a number of years right now, and he is just 25 years of age, but he broke in with the Phillies as a 21-year-old back in 2014. Nice pick by Smoak. There's one back to first. Off the glove of Gaviglio. Safe at first is Franco. Hoskins stops at third.
Urshela had trouble getting that ball out of his glove, and that threw off the timing. Gaviglio got to the bag, but when Urshela bobbled the ball and had to double clutch, it throws off the timing. Smoak makes a nice play here at first. Gaviglio hustling over to first base. But watch how Urshela bobbled the ball, and then when he threw it back behind Gaviglio. A pitcher covering first in this situation has to get to the bag and stop. But you can see Gaviglio was a little bit past the bag and couldn't make that play. But the bobble at second base eliminated that chance to turn 2.
And you can see he's upset with himself that couldn't complete the inning. Instead, it's first and third, 2 down. And he'll have to face Nick Williams, the right fielder, who popped up his first time up. Williams and Aaron Altair in kind of a loose platoon in the outfield and right field. Williams, 24 years of age, his second year with a big club. It's his 19th start of the season out and right. He hits a roller to Donaldson, and Gaviglio gets out of it. Walks 2, throws a lot of pitches, but nothing across for the Phils. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Jamie Campbell, Joe Siddall are in the Samsung broadcast studio. This year they have, but they got 3 guys who are in some droughts right now. Kevin Pillar, Curtis Granderson, and Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, and you need these guys to hit them out. You don't need them to hit 40 home runs, but you need a little more consistency from them. And Donaldson hasn't had a home run since the doubleheader in Cleveland on May 3rd. He hit a home run in each of those 2 games. But the doubles are starting to come, and after doubles, you're going to see home runs. He's hit doubles to the power alley in right center, and he had a double tonight in left center. So that's a good sign for Josh, starting to get to the pitches.
The Blue Jays are still 4th in the American League in home runs this year. They've hit 65 in 50 games. They trail the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Indians in home runs.
They're also scoring runs, which is kind of surprising. 4.7 runs. That's 6th in the American League. And lately, I mean, they haven't scored any.
Granderson finds a hole over the head of a leaping Santana, and he's got himself a leadoff base hit here in the 5th.
That's a good start for the Blue Jays in this 5th inning, and Curtis gets to that inside fastball. He's able to hit it over the first baseman Santana into right field. Williams gets over and plays it back in quickly to hold Curtis to a long single.
And now Donaldson doubled and scored in the 1st and walked in the 2nd. First pitch swinging, little swinging bunt towards 3rd, and Franco's going to get him. Granderson to 2nd on the play, but a good play by Franco to get Donaldson.
Well, Franco did a heck of a job because I think he thought the pitcher was going to get to it. He comes over and it looks like he almost gives up on this ball, anticipating that Eflin was going to reach for it. Now take a look at the reaction of third baseman right here. And then he holds up, and there was a little stutter step, but he's still able to make the barehanded catch and throw. A terrific defensive play. The pitcher broke in front of him, reached for it, but he couldn't make a play. But Franco never gave up on it. Made a nice play.
Very nice throw. No tail at all on that throw. Good arm strength off balance. Granderson up to 2nd with 1 down, and here's Justin Smoak, who's grounded out and flied out. Shift on the infield. Outfielders play around to the opposite field against Smoak. A swing and a high fly ball to deep center. Herrera back, and he's not going to get this one. 2-run blast for Justin Smoak, and the Blue Jays lead is now 5-1.
Smoak hit a home run on Wednesday in New York in that rain afternoon game against the Mets. It's his first home run since then, and he drills this ball deep to center field. I mean, he stayed on it, and we mentioned he hadn't had many at-bats in this ballpark. But it's right out over the plate, and he's able to stay on it. Watch where this ball is when he smokes it. Middle, right out over the plate, and he hits it into the seats for home run number 7.
Teoscar Hernandez with a bouncing ball down to 3rd for out number 2.
Well, you hope that Smoak gets on a roll. He had kind of a slow start to his season last year and ended up hitting 38 home runs. But boy, when he starts hitting them to center and left center, that's a pretty good sign that he's staying back, trusting his hands, and he's able to get to that ball and drive it out of the ballpark.
Getting a pat on the back from Kendrys Morales. Got to feel good for Smoak. Number 7 on the season. 5-1 Blue Jays, and here's Solarte, who has doubled in a run and struck out. So the Blue Jays have 8 hits now, 5 of them for extra bases. 5-1 lead, out hitting the Phillies 8-1. Gavilio doing a nice job so far. And again, given the way the last week went, you don't want to assume anything, but a good start to this game, a good start to this road trip thus far, as the bullpen is now up for the Phillies. Little inside.
Yeah, this is part of the strategy when you play in a National League ball game. You have to know where the pitcher's spot is if you're in the field, and he is supposed to hit third in this bottom half of this inning. So they would like him to be able to get out of this inning so you don't have to waste another pitcher getting through this inning and make a pitching change in this inning. So you'd like Eflin to be able to get out of the inning, and then they could pinch hit for him in the bottom of the third.
And that one is going to sneak under the glove of Hernandez. Might have knuckled on him just a bit. And Solarte is aboard. Scored a base hit.
Yeah, generally, when you see ground balls hit into the shift like this, you expect them to be caught. But you're right, that ball kind of sailed away from him like it was slicing away from him. He never really got to it. It's underneath his glove and past him before he could get over there.
Solarte's second hit of the night and the 9th in the game for the Blue Jays. One of them belongs to Kevin Pillar. Had an RBI double back in the first. He struck out in the third. And a fastball drilled in for a strike. Smoak with a home run this inning, number 7 on the season. Yes, he did. Chase that breaking ball outside, 1-2. Chasing more the last week or so than he did earlier in the season.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just kind of feeling his average now is down into the 280s after being up over 300 most of the season. That's the kind of swing he used early in the season to get that average over 300. He stayed on those balls and didn't go out to hit him. He let the ball come to him. I think lately we've been seeing him a little bit over anxious.
And the things he has said are, I don't care about home runs. I just want hard contact. I want to use the whole field. That was the mindset that he tried to bring into the season. That one is off the glove of the catcher Alfaro, and up to second on the play goes Solarte.
Yeah, that should be another pass ball charged to Alfaro. If it is, it'll be his 4th of the season. The ball was inside. I think when you have a hitter jump back thinking that it might hit him, you get a little bit tentative with reaching for it, and it went off Alfaro's glove. I think he kind of expected it to hit Pillar, and he kind of gave up on it.
It is a pass ball charged to Alfaro, so a runner in scoring position. Now maybe Pillar changes his mindset even more. Base hit can bring a run in. Hot shot down to third. What a pick by Franco. Safe at first, though, as he pulls Santana off the bag.
What a terrific grab by Franco at third. But then he made a wide throw, pulled Santana off the bag. The Phillies are going to have a look at it on replay. But that was a scalded one hopper to the glove side of the third baseman. He gloves it and then does a 360. He got plenty of time here, but he takes a little bit too much time. And when he did that, he throws wide of the mark and pulls Santana off the bag at first.
Tim Leeper right away was signaling that he thought Pillar was safe on the play.
I think Joe West just pulled the plug on the Phillies' ability to call this one. Now Joe's not going to let him do it now. He said they took too much time.
They're supposed to have 30 seconds.
And Joe's pointing out center field to that clock.
This is a double switch. Gabe Kapler just said we're going to make a double switch. So the pitcher's coming out of the game, and they're going to make another change as well. So they're not going to ask for a replay. That's come and gone. It's an error charged to Franco on the play, and the Blue Jays have runners at first and third with changes coming both in the outfield and on the mound. part of that.
Well, with a man aboard, he jumps all over this pitch out over the plate and drills it 414 feet from home plate. Came off the bat at 103.8 miles an hour. And that was a pretty swing. Home run number 7 for Justin Smoak.
And a new pitcher for the Phillies, right-hander Victor Arano is into the game for the Phils. A double switch as Arano comes in and they put him in the 6th spot in the lineup. Aaron Altair has gone in right field for Nick Williams. Altair batting 9th. And the inning extended because of the throwing error charged to Michael Franco. Solarte's at third, Pilar's at first, and here's Russell Martin, a strikeout victim in each of his 2 at-bats.
Arano is 23 years old. He's from Mexico. He was originally signed by the Dodgers as an amateur free agent. Came to the Phillies in August of 2014 as a player to be named later for Roberto Hernandez. Fastball be 92, 93 miles an hour. He throws a slider and a changeup. Throws a lot of sliders to right-handed hitters. Over 70% of the pitches he throws to righties are sliders.
He retired the first 25 batters he faced this season, then came up with a sore shoulder. Went on the DL with a strained rotator cuff, missed 3 weeks, and he's had a couple of bumpy appearances just before that when he was probably already hurting, and he's had one bumpy one since he came back. The Blue Jays knock out Eflin after 4 2/3. Although had Franco made the play, it would have been 5 for Eflin. But Gabe Kapler decided he couldn't wait any longer. 1-1. And Martin with a good swing on it, and a base hit into center field will bring home Solarte. Pilar will come around to third, and a much needed base hit for Russell Martin drives in a run to make it 6-1.
Well, a big hit for Russell for sure. After striking out twice in his previous 2 at-bats, he comes through with an RBI single to chase home Solarte. But a terrific at bat. Another slider. Watch where this ball stays right over the middle of the plate. Middle, and Russell didn't miss it. Takes it right back up the middle for an RBI single for Russell. His 13th ribby of the season. Blue Jays had a run now. It's 6-1.
And the runners remain on the corners. Now Pilar at third, Martin at first. Here's Gio Urshela. A strikeout and a line out. Bends back from a 94-mile-an-hour fastball up and in. Six runs, 10 hits for the Blue Jays. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error for the Phillies. The breaking ball misses high.
Yeah, the Blue Jays didn't get the memo about how well the Phillies were pitching in this ballpark.
No.
6 runs on 10 hits.
Josh Donaldson started it nice and early with a 1-out double in the first. Teoscar Hernandez with an infield hit, driving a run, and then Solarte and Pilar added RBI doubles in the first inning. And then 3 more runs here in the 5th. 2 on a home run by Justin Smoak and 1 on a base hit by Russell Martin.
6 runs and 10 hits. The highest totals the Blue Jays have had going all the way back those 7 games at home. They didn't score 6 and they didn't have 10 hits in the game.
Funny game, baseball. Huh? You never know. Popped him up. Santana makes the grab, and that's all for the Blue Jays, but they get 3 more, and 2 of them on a ball that traveled over 400 feet. Home run number 7 for Justin Smoak.
the 6th run of the night, and you can visit with Russell in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity on the field at Rogers Center for the 55 Poker Classic. Tickets available now in support of Jays Care. You can visit jayscare.com/poker to sign up and secure your spot today. Guys?
Buck, guess what?
What?
Vladimir Guerrero has homered again.
Where's he playing?
He's 3 for 4 with a home run.
No, he's not.
He is.
3 for 4.
Well, Ben Nicholson-Smith doesn't lie. I think we can agree on that.
Well,
you can check it.
I'll check it.
All right. He tweeted out he's 3 for 4 today, hitting .483 this month and .435 for the season.
He's got a chance.
And Arash is reporting via our producer Doug Walton that Bo Bichette, that they went back to back. That Bichette also homered.
They homered yesterday, I think, in the same inning.
I believe so. Yeah. Do you ever remember, and you know we don't track minor leaguers obviously nearly as closely as
we never even knew who they were.
Yeah. Do you forget that he's 19? What level? What organization? Do you ever remember a guy doing this in the minor leagues, hitting like this?
No, I don't. And when you look at his numbers, and you know, Bo Bichette's 3 for 4 tonight as well.
That's good news.
He's got 4 ribbies and a home run. But Vladdy's at 335.
Good slider
excuse
there.
me, 435.
435.
You don't say 4 very often.
You could knock 100 points off his average, and he'd
and he's
still be
having a good year.
Yep.
How about that?
Like when you go
Good
2
for him.
when you go 2 for 5 and your average goes down, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's off to a great start. I talked to some Philly executives here about him, and they had a chance to see him over the last couple of days, and they said, "Man, is he good?"
Now a drive to center field, and back is Pilar to run it down. For out number 2, let's go to Jamie Campbell. Well, he hit one yesterday in the final game of the series against the Blue Jays. Hits another one today.
I don't think Mike Trout ever hit 435 in the minors.
I don't think so.
No.
He was about a 340, 350 hitter, I think. But what's interesting about Trout is he was 19 at Double-A, same as Vladimir Guerrero. It's very, very rare to be a 19-year-old playing Double-A baseball.
Right. It doesn't happen very often. You know, the other guy that you start to think about, you know, it's hard not to draw these comparisons. Junior Griffey. I mean, he was a teenager when he got to the big leagues. And for me, Vladdy plays a lot like Junior Griffey, with joy, with enthusiasm, with a lot of fun. At the same time, he's obviously very serious in what he does, but he plays it with a certain amount of joy, which I think is beautiful.
It's supposed to be fun.
It is fun.
Swing and a miss, and that's a great inning for Gaviglio. Strikeout, fly ball, another strikeout. He's due up first. Will he bat? And this game continues. By authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership.
You peeked, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, you
I
peeked.
love him.
You were peeking. Look at him. He's mocking the Marlowe walking back to the dugout.
He's funny.
He is very funny.
Sam Gaviglio is back, and why not? He's been great through 5 innings. He's only thrown 69 pitches. So send him back out there for more. 6-1 Blue Jays as
and
we
he's
go to
got
the
a
top.
double.
That's right. Struck out in his second at bat. So he's now 2 for 7 in the big leagues with a single and a double. And a liner to second. 4 out number 1.
That one didn't feel as good as the double. He got jammed a little bit on that one.
Got some bees in his hand right now.
Yeah.
Coming on last inning for Zach Eflin. Back to the top of the order for Curtis Granderson, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Twice in his 3 at-bats has swung at the first pitch, which he rarely does. It was in the other at-bat, the most recent one, where he took the first pitch and then he wound up with a base hit. Now Granderson did hit the ball about 385 feet to left center back in the second. It was robbed by Odubel Herrera. Outside corner, says Joe West. 0-2.
The Phillies just 1 run on 1 hit, and that was a home run by the pitcher Zach Eflin. And you know, they have scored almost 5 runs a game this season.
Let's get an update from Jamie. All right, Jamie, thank you. Well, the Red Sox, the next opponent for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays will be there Monday afternoon. It's Memorial Day Monday, then Tuesday night, and then another midweek day game, a Wednesday afternoon game in Boston. The road trip concludes with a weekend series next weekend at Detroit. Here's Donaldson, 1 for 2 with a walk.
You know what's really interesting about the Boston lineup tonight? No Dustin Pedroia. And they had made the big announcement they were going to designate Hanley Ramirez and free up a spot for Pedroia on the roster. He's not in the lineup.
Donaldson with a ground ball down to third, and that's all for the Blue Jays as they go in order in the top of the 6th. Gaviglio back to the mound with a 6-1 lead when we come back. Citizens Bank. That's Jay Wright. That's Jay Wright,
The basketball
the
coach.
basketball coach. I'm positive.
Yeah.
The head coach of the Villanova Wildcats, the national champions. He's brought his dog to the ballpark tonight. We are in Philadelphia after all.
It's a big night, and it was a special night. The wives of the Philly players were involved in a fundraiser involving the pets in the park, in the park tonight.
That comes with certain complications, I would think, but it's not our problem up here.
No.
Bottom 6, Sam Gaviglio with a 6-1 lead here in the opening game of this 3-game series. Top of the order, Cesar Hernandez takes a high strike, and it's 1-1. Hernandez twice has grounded out to second. That's Jay Wright, the coach of the well, he's won 2 national championships, not 2 of the last 3 years. They are if you're not a college basketball fan, may not mean that much, but 2 of the last 3 years, they are the national champs, and that guy's going to wind up in the Hall of Fame one day as a coach. As Gaviglio picks up his 5th strikeout of the night.
Boy, again, we talked about Gaviglio throwing a lot of strikes, and the first time he has faced the Phillies, he's done that consistently all night long, and this has a lot of movement. Catches the outside corner, and Hernandez knew it. Backing the lumber back to the dugout. Gaviglio has struck out 3 of the last 4 Phillies that have faced him.
So, but Gaviglio does not throw a 4-seam fastball, a truer, straighter, harder fastball. As this ball is lifted off the bat of Hostin to the right center for Pilar. He throws a 2-seam fastball. Some guys throw a 4, some guys throw a 2, some guys throw both.
Yep.
What would you counsel a young 18-year-old to? Which one would you say to work on, or is every pitcher different and you just got to play to their strengths?
Every pitcher is different, but the first thing I would do is teach him how to command a 4-seam fastball and then learn how to throw a 4-seam changeup. So that's what a young pitcher, 13, 14, 15, 16, should be doing. Command your fastball and change speeds with the same type of spin that you throw your fastball with. If you throw a 4-seam fastball, you should throw a 4-seam changeup. And the opposite is true. If you throw a 2-seam fastball, you want the same kind of spin with your changeup, so it looks like the same pitch.
We're in Philadelphia. Blue Jays Phillies makes you think of Roy Halladay a little bit. When he was sent down early in his career, more of a 4-seam guy, came back with that great 2-seamer, right?
No, he was strictly a 4-seam knuckle curveball guy. That's the 2 pitches that he threw.
This ball's lined into left center field. It'll get to the fence, and Odubel Herrera is on his way to second base. But when Roy Halladay became one of the best pitchers in the game, the repertoire was completely different. A lot of 2-seamers. Right?
He threw 2-seamers, cutters, and a split. And that was it. He simplified everything. But what he did was he learned how to throw pitches on both sides of the plate going in opposite directions. And that's when he really became a Cy Young pitcher. But he put in a lot of work, and he threw 97. Mark Connor and I were sitting in spring training watching him get hit game after game in spring training and said, there's something we have to do. This guy's too good just to cast aside. And Gord Ash was the general manager, and we all got together and said, you know what, we need to start at ground zero again.
Here's a swing and a drive to deep right field. Carlos Santana launches one for a 2-run homer.
They brought in Santana as a free agent after he spent 8 years with the Cleveland Indians, and he's got a pedigree, of course, taking the Indians to the postseason. He's a very good hitter from either side of the plate. He's patient. He takes a lot of walks, and when he gets his pitch, he doesn't miss it. And he hit this one off the facing of the third deck out there in right field, and he hit it 9 miles for Santana, his 9th home run of the season, and then follows that double by Herrera. Yeah, this is a no-doubter.
And the bullpen was up. Hyun-Hwan Oh is now throwing for the Blue Jays with 2 down in the 6th. And a 6-3 lead. And again, given the way some of the recent games have gone for the Blue Jays, I doubt many fans are feeling really comfortable with a 3-run lead in the 6th inning. Gaviglio's been terrific again. At some point, obviously, the bullpen is going to be needed. He's only at 77 pitches, but just gave up 2 hard-hit balls to Herrera and Santana that cost him a couple of runs. Meanwhile, on the other side, a familiar face, Drew Hutchison is now throwing.
Drew Hutchison in his first season with the Phillies. He spent all of last season in AAA with the Pirates. Of course, he was traded from Toronto to Pittsburgh in August of 2016 for Francisco Liriano, Reese McGuire, and Harold Ramirez. And now the left-hander is up as well, Adam Morgan.
Batter Michael Franco.
Phillies have just one left-hander in their bullpen. That's Morgan. He's up now.
Things have gotten a little bit tighter for John Gibbons and company. More things to consider right now, but now a 6-3 game. The pitch there, well located, and it's all Franco can do to just fight it off foul.
Yeah, that's the kind of swings that Gaviglio got earlier in the game when the hitters were getting their first look at him, but he made a good pitch on Franco. Franco is 0 for 2 with a ground out in the fielder's choice.
Scott Kingery's come out on deck in the pitcher spot. Remember, with the double switch, the pitcher's now in the 6th spot for the Phillies. Another good pitch by Gaviglio, and another good job by Franco to get a piece of it.
Yeah, and you see everything is down and especially away to Franco. So I wouldn't go inside just yet. Let's stay out there. He's taking an awkward swing. What I might do is elevate a fastball away from him, but I wouldn't come in.
Looked like they tried to come in, and it was kind of middle of the plate, and it was fouled off.
Yeah, when you see a guy take such an awkward swing and a pitch down and away, it tells me he's looking on the inner half. And he certainly got the power to hit one out of here. So you got to be careful with this pitch.
Another 1-2 on the way. And he got him. Got him to chase down and away with that slider. Franco slams down the batting helmet in disgust. Inning over. Now 6-3 for the Blue Jays. After this Santana homer makes it a bit closer. ...2018 Civic SI. When it leads off, it leads for good.
Now, Justin Smoak has had a decent season, but boy, this is a good sign here. He gets a fastball out over the plate and drives it deep to center field. Hit at 414 feet, a 2-run home run to dead center. And that really added to that 3-run inning. The Blue Jays would score 3 in the first and 3 more in the 6th, and now it looks like they're going to need all of those runs as the Phillies have made it a 6-3 game. As Smoak is set to turn around and bat right-handed against the new Phillies pitcher.
And interesting, we've seen a number of teams do this to Smoak this year as the left-hander Adam Morgan comes in. And Smoak clearly a better batter from the right side, but a number of opposing managers have made changes and brought a lefty in to face him.
They do it all the time, and it makes you scratch your head. And I guess they're just worried about Smoak's potential as a power hitter batting from the left side. But Smoak's average is .322 against left-handed pitching, much better than .206.
Another double switch for the Phillies. Scott Kingery is now in the game at third. Michael Franco is out, so Kingery is in the 6th spot, and Morgan, or the pitcher spot, is in the 5th spot, which was the last out last half inning. So with a couple of double switches, Gabe Kapler's had to take 2 of his starters out of the game. To Michael Franco and Nick Williams. Smoak homering from the left side his last time on. Here we go, top 7. Off the glove of Kingery. The ball will find you, won't it? And that'll be a base hit for Smoak.
Yeah, Kingery just into the ball game, got a glove on it, but he had no chance to make a play. It pops out of his glove and trickles over towards shortstop. But again, Smoak, he has so many good swings batting right-handed, and you can change him middle of the game. But when he gets in there, he's got so much confidence, and I think it kind of gets to him that they make this move so effortlessly, saying, well, we got to switch him around. He looks like a better hitter left-handed, but his average plays out.
And Gabe Kapler, as you well know, is a very analytical guy. He's a very forward-thinking, new age kind of manager. And the Phillies, they went from an organization that crunched the numbers probably less than any other team. Now they might crunch them more than any other team with the changes they've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and they've got a real young general manager, Matt Klentak. He was named GM in October of 2015 when he was 35 years old.
Ground ball up the middle. This could be 2. And it is wide throw, but still a 4-6-3 double play. Hernandez now 2 for 4 on the night. Teoscar Hernandez as Cesar Hernandez, no relation, started that double play.
Yeah, the throw is tailing on Florimon, the shortstop. Remember, he originally was charged with an error in the 1st inning. It was changed to a hit on a ball hit to the hole at shortstop on Teoscar Hernandez.
Now here's Yangervis Solarte. And this statistically is his weaker side of the plate. He's had a good night. 2 for 3 with a single and a double. He's driven in a run and scored twice. So he's now 12 for his last 29 and has risen his average, raised his average up to 271.
Solarte hits for a better average as a left-handed hitter, but his power is about the same. 5 of his 11 home runs he's hit from this side of the plate. They talked to him about how he learned how to switch hit. He said we had a rule when we played in the street. If the right-handed pitcher was on the mound, you had to hit left-handed, and if the left-handed pitcher was on the mound, you had to hit right-handed. And he did that playing stickball. However they would play in Venezuela as kids.
2-2. Got a funny look on his face, like, what was that pitch I just saw? Inning stretch in Philadelphia. Phillies
coming into the game now. We remind you of the news today that Roberto Osuna's administrative leave has been extended until June the 4th. Now, it's been a rough go for the relievers this week. There was Saturday's 4-0 lead in the 8th evaporating. Then Wednesday's meltdown in the 9th. Tyler Clippard came in with a 3-1 lead that became a 5-3 deficit. But no wholesale changes are coming for the back end of the bullpen. The team will continue to go with Clippard and Axford and late in games, mixing and matching based on lineup. I asked Pete Walker today, are there defined rules? He said not at this point, but Pete did add, if someone steps forward and takes a hold of it, that's a different story. Dan?
All right, Arash, well, if the Blue Jays continue to have the lead, we'll see how this sorts itself out over the next couple of innings. The only thing we can tell you for sure right now is that Hyunhwan Oh is into the game in the 7th inning.
Yeah, he's actually thrown the ball much better of late. He's making his 23rd appearance, and he didn't have much of a spring training. You remember he had problems with getting a work visa, but as the season has gone on, he seems to have ramped up his arm strength, and the fastball is a little crisper. The slider breaks a little bit sharper. I think he's been able to hang in there and do a pretty good job.
Scott Kingery will lead off the bottom of the 7th. Came on a double switch top half of the inning. Kingery, an interesting guy, and the Phillies doing kind of an unusual thing just before the season began. Oh, winds and works, and he misses up and away, ball 1. They signed Kingery to a 6-year deal plus 3 option years before he had ever made an appearance in a regular season Major League game. They think that highly of him. They signed him in the last week of spring training. Bought out all of his free agency years, 6 years, $24 million, and then option years for years 7, 8, 9 at 13, 14, 15 million. They expect him to become a star. It has been a bit of a struggle for him here this rookie season. They bounced him around the field a lot as kind of a super utility guy at times. He's also played a fair bit of shortstop, more short than any other position, although second base is his most natural spot. But you don't see that very often. I think Evan Longoria didn't he have like a week in the majors when Tampa Bay signed him?
I think they signed him before he got to the majors too. Yeah. But it was a long-term contract like this, and they really think a lot of Kingery, who draws the leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 7th.
Not what John Gibbons and Pete Walker wanted to see on the heels of another good performance from Sam Gavilia.
Yeah, he was terrific. 84 pitches over 6 innings and just 3 hits. One of those a home run by the pitcher, Zach Eflin. 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. I mean, that is a very strong outing. And you know what? I think the more they see Gavilia, I think the more they will trust him to go beyond 84 pitches as long as he was throwing as effectively as he was tonight.
Here's the catcher, Alfaro.
Alfaro is from Colombia, and Gio Urshela is also from Colombia. I said, did you guys play against each other as kids? He goes, yeah, we did. We grew up about 4 hours apart, but we both obviously were very good prospects as youngsters, and they did play against each other from time to time in Colombia. Alfaro's got big power. He was part of that big trade for Jake Diekman and Cole Hamels back in 2015. And having a couple of players from Colombia, there used to be a pretty competitive Winter League in Colombia, but that has since gone by the wayside. Winter League just doesn't draw major league players the way it used to because of the economics.
No balls, 2 strikes. Leadoff man on, and a swing and a miss at a slider. Oh, with a big first out here in the 7th.
Save big at the outdoor living event at Home Hardware on from May 16th to June 5th. Here's how.
Here in Philadelphia, opening game of a 3-game set, Blue Jays and Phillies. Jays leading 6-3, bottom 7. This is Pedro Florimon, number 8 hitter. Swing and a miss as O gets a fastball by him at 92. Remember, the pitcher's not on the 9 spot, so on deck you've got Erman Altair. The pitcher's up in the 5 spot right now. All is quiet in both bullpens at the moment. The Phillies drawing, but not drawing maybe as well as you would think, given how well they're playing this year. I mean, they've had some rough years. Their last winning season was 2011. They were right at 500, 81 and 81 in 2012. 5 losing seasons since. And they've gotten off to a great start this year. Crowds are coming back slowly. They of course had that great era. They won a World Series in 2008. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Cole Hamels, Roy Halladay for a number of years. They just had just some great talent. Played in 2 World Series, won 1.
Yeah, and then they got a little bit old. It took them a while to rebuild their farm system, but they've done a terrific job of that. We've been talking about how young they are. And the game is trending very young. And the game is trending to two-way players, like National League players, where you've got to play on both sides of the baseball. Because you have to carry so many pitchers, you need to have versatile players that can play on both sides. That one hurt. Foul tipped it right off the top of his foot.
How would you like to have a seat? You spent a lot of money. You're in the first row or second row over the first base dugout, and this giant green furry monster, he's going to do his thing. Now he's trying to help the team. He's trying to put a hex on Xianhuan-Oh right now. But you never see anybody say, "Excuse me, Mr. Fanatic."
Yeah, would you sit down?
You're
down in front.
He's right on the dugout.
Yeah, and you're not seeing past him, that's for sure. That's a big-bodied monster. Now he's going to put the hex on the pitcher. Watch this.
Runner not going, and it's fouled off.
Yeah, the fans don't seem to mind it at all. They get a chance to interact with it. Now he's going to sit down and have a good time. Now that little guy, he's got stories to tell, doesn't he? Hey, I sat with a Philly fanatic.
Somebody get a picture of that. Popped him up. What a good pitch in on the hands there by O. And it'll be Solarte for out number 2.
Trying to go down and away, and they miss all the way inside, but it really ties up for him. They get the pop-up for the second out of the inning. But earlier in the season, O didn't have the life on his fastball he's got right now, so he's able to get away with that mistake.
So 2 down. Kingery still at first, and the batter was Aaron Altair, his first at bat of the night. Right-hand hitting outfielder.
Yeah, no, maybe. Russell Martin thought he was going to hear strike 3.
The 2-2. Up to 93 on that fastball, so it's fouled back by Altair.
Yeah, this is the 4th game that O has pitched in this ballpark. Spent 2 seasons with the Cardinals. His first was a very good one. Not so much success in the second season. There's strike 3.
Slider over the outside corner and a beauty as Hyun-Hwan Oh. That's a good bottom of the 7th. Still 6-3 Blue Jays.
Coming at you. They don't know what to do.
6-3 Blue Jays top 8, and Kevin Pillar will lead it off. He's 1 for 3. And an RBI double back in the first. He's also struck out and reached on an error. He'll be followed by Russell Martin and Gio Urshela. Well, I think we have our answer about who would close if the Blue Jays have a save situation, and it obviously is not going to be Tyler Clippard. So John Gibbons has made a switch here, if you will. Looks like Clippard will come in for the 8th, and presumably Tepera would be the guy in the 9th.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, and that's what Clippard was doing most of the season. And he's got a couple of saves, but he's also got a couple of blown saves, and I think Tepera has been throwing the ball very well, and when he's rested, he'll throw it in the upper 90s with a very good slider. So it looks like he's going to get an opportunity. Arash Madani talked about what Pete Walker's thoughts are. Hey, somebody gets hot, they can win a job. And I think John Gibbons is of the same mind. Just show me you can get 3 quick outs, and it's all yours.
Two-two. Tepera has excelled in a setup role the last 2 years. He's had a few chances here and there to close games, not many. And when Osuna was placed on administrative leave, Tepera stayed right where he was, and Clippard kind of leapfrogged over him from the 7th inning to the 9th inning. And obviously the roles are reversed here tonight. Well, Squibber, and everybody could see that there was a chance that one could come back. So pitcher, batter, and catcher were all going after it hard.
Yeah, that was hit right off the end of the bat, and that put spin on the baseball, and Pillar recognized that, as did the catcher. They both took off for first base, and Adam Morgan pitches cued right off the end of the bat, and it takes one couple of bounces toward the foul line, and then I think the spin kind of slowed down, and Morgan steps on it to kill it in foul ground.
Kendrys Morales getting loose. Looks like he'll have an opportunity to swing the bat at some point. The pitcher is due up 4th for the Blue Jays this half inning. Another 2-2. And another foul back. It's probably going to be the role for Morales over these 3 games. It's just for John Gibbons to pick the spot to get him in there to try to do some damage. As bad as the season has been for Morales, the last 4 days he's been swinging the bat as well as anybody on the team. And a swing and a miss.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
8th inning here in Philadelphia. Friday night baseball between the Blue Jays and the Phillies, and the Blue Jays have led right from the get-go. They got 3 in the top of the first, and they're up 6-3 right now as they bat in the 8th. Russell Martin had an RBI single his last time up, 1 for 3 on the night. This big curveball from Morgan, but it misses just outside for ball 1.
Yeah, that was a big hit for Russell in the 5th inning. After striking out his first 2 times, he got a slider from Victor Arano and drove it up the middle for an RBI single.
You know, you wonder as you look ahead to the bottom of the 8th if Aaron Loup figures into this at all. With Odubel Herrera, they're the Phillies' best hitter, due up 3rd. A left-handed batter.
He'd like to turn Santana around as well.
Yeah.
Make him hit right-handed.
Now again, when Clippard is on, the changeup really plays against left-handed batters, but Clippard's had a rough week. But right now he's obviously at least going to be given the chance to start the bottom of the 8th inning. Doesn't take Loup long to get up. I think everybody, maybe even Russell, thought that was going to be strike 3.
Looked like it on the outside corner. You could see all those pitches bunched up on the outside corner. Morgan began his career with the Phillies as a starter. So he's got all the pitches, and he drops this breaking ball on the outside corner, and everybody was ready to throw the ball around the infield and celebrate a strikeout.
Instead, it's 2-2. And a liner down to 3rd. No, he trapped it. And a good throw by Kingery to get Martin 2 down.
Kingery is a very good athlete that can play all over the diamond. And Dan, you mentioned it, his primary position is second, and he's an excellent defender at second. But here he makes a nice play, and then he hears from the umpire that it's a trap. Still got plenty of time to throw out Martin across the way. He's played in the outfield as well.
Yep.
They had him playing center field in spring training, and he can really run. He's a base stealing threat.
And they've still got very high hopes for him, although the first couple of months of his rookie season have not gone quite as well as they would have liked. Gio Urshela fouls the first pitch back from Morgan.
The Phillies believe within a year or 2 that they're going to be a perennial contender, and that Scott Kingery is going to be the key player in their lineup. Probably playing at second base.
Well, they got a pretty good player right now, Cesar Hernandez. And falls under the heading of a good problem to have. And it's funny because they came into this season, maybe internally they thought they could contend, but outside the clubhouse it was, yeah, they're going to get better, and this is the beginning of a new era, new manager. They signed Santana and they signed Arrieta, but now all of a sudden some of the decisions may change if you're in it in July. Yes, he did. A very good inning for Morgan. A couple of strikeouts and a ground out. Still 6-3 Blue Jays. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Once again, Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall in the Samsung broadcast studio. Up 6-3. Tyler Clippard comes out here in a setup role for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, he has been pitching mostly all season long in the 8th inning, and then they had to move him to the closer's role, and now he's back in that 8th inning spot. Clippard for the season, 2-4. He has 2 blown saves. He has saved 2 ball games, but still, despite his recent troubles, hitter's hitting 184 against him. He's done a real good job of taking the sting out of that. He's given up 4 home runs, has 28 strikeouts in 25 innings.
Well, the best thing he can do to help himself right now is throw strikes after what happened in his last outing with the 3 walks really leading to all the problems.
Hey, what happened when he lost to the Angels? Just 1 out, 2 hits, 4 runs, 4 earnings because of those 3 walks. All 3 of those walks came in to score.
Cesar Hernandez as the Phillies bring up the top of the order. Hernandez, Hoskins, and Herrera. Loop is not up. Bullpen is quiet. And it looks like all going well. This half inning belongs to Clippard. Change up in the dirt, ball 2.
Clippard has pitched a lot in this ballpark. This is his 27th appearance here at Citizens Bank Park. Spent a lot of time with the Washington Nationals.
Driven to right field, and Hernandez can't get it. It's over his head and off the wall, and Hernandez is at second base.
Hernandez, that's a 8th double of the season. Teoscar Hernandez, to me, kind of drifted on that ball a little bit. I think if he busted and turns and heads to the warning track, he's got a chance to catch it. Now, I don't know if he expected it to carry this far. He's kind of sidestepping and shuffling, and then by the time he reaches up, it's too late. Had he turned and run toward the warning track, I think he could have covered the ground and maybe made the catch. But by the time he got there, he just kind of threw his glove up in desperation, knew he was going to have to play it off the wall.
Leadoff double for Cesar Hernandez, and here's Rhys Hoskins 0 for 2 with a walk. Changeup swung on and missed.
These are the pitchers that you really don't want to see when you're struggling with your timing. And he's got a leg kick, and with all the assortment of changeups and splitters, it can be a challenge. There you see Tepera starting to crank it up for the Blue Jays.
Just got up about 3 pitches ago for him out in the bullpen after that double. Hooked into the left field corner, a fair ball. Hernandez will come in to score. A double by Hoskins makes it 6-4.
For Hoskins, his 28th RBI, and that's going to get Pete Walker out to chat with Tyler Clippard, and John Gibbons is checking on the status of Ryan Tepera. Tepera just barely got up. He's going to need at least 5 or 6 more pitches, plus the pitches he gets when he comes into the game. But this pitch out over the plate, Hoskins stays on it and pulls it, keeps it fair down the left field line. His 13th double of the season, back-to-back doubles off Clippard here in the 8th. There's that leg kick, but he was able to keep his weight back and drives home Hernandez, who had doubled to right field.
So the Phillies are now down only 2. There's nobody out here in the 8th, and the tying run will come to the plate in the form of Odubel Herrera. 1 for 3, doubled and scored last time up. John Gibbons clearly may feel that he has to resort to ask Ryan Tepera to get 4, 5, maybe 6 outs. Goes to show you how badly the Blue Jays need a win right now, and they do. Back-to-back doubles against Clippard here to begin the bottom of the 8th.
Because after that first pitch changeup, Herrera is 0 for 4 facing Clippard. He's a very aggressive free swinger, and you could see he was impatient chasing that first changeup. That was well out of the strike zone.
Up and in, a ball and a strike.
I think I'd take another shot with the fastball because he chased that changeup on the first pitch. Then he takes a fastball. He's got to be thinking, okay, that was just a setup pitch. They're just pushing me off the plate. I might back it up with another fastball inside. See if you can't jam him.
Fastball, but he missed inside.
Yeah, you got it shot. Take a shot and try to hit that inside corner, but he missed. All the options being discussed as DeMarlo Hale pointing out where they are in the lineup, what the options are, who might hit, where you are for the next inning, whether you have to make a double switch when you make the switch.
Before the game in which Clippard gave up the grand slam to Pinder last week, he had an ERA of 1.17. He had been great this year for the Blue Jays. But two really tough performances, one against Oakland, tough appearances, one against Oakland, one against the Angels, with a clean inning against the Angels in between. But all of a sudden the outs just have been much, much tougher to come by for Tyler Clippard. The 2-1. And a pop-up on the right side of the infield. Smoak's calling for it and will make the grab for the first out.
They went back to the changeup and had Herrera out on that front foot. His timing's all messed up. He's now 0 for 5 against Clippard. But one of the questions the Blue Jays have to answer, their pitcher's spot is due up. Next inning in the first, 8-hitter made the spot, made the last out. So if you have to make a pitching change, you're going to have to make a double switch.
Yeah.
Take Urshela out of the game, put the pitcher in the 8th spot, and then put Travis at second and put Solarte at short.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that they're contemplating right now if they have to make a pitching change.
Here's Carlos Santana, switch hitter batting for the left side against the right-hander Clippard, and a changeup catches the outside corner for his strike. The numbers for Santana this year, hitting .198 from the left side, .213 from the right, more power from the left side. The 0-1. And another changeup and another pop-up. Donaldson, 2 down. And that'll bring up a pinch hitter for the Phillies. Remember, this is the pitcher spot now hitting 5th. This is Jesmuel Valentin, the son of former major leaguer Jose Valentin. He's not played a whole lot at all. Started the year down in the minors.
He's an infielder and a utility outfielder as well.
He was called up when J.P. Crawford, who was getting a lot of time at shortstop, went on the DL. That was in late April. He's only had 11 at-bats there. And you can see he didn't look very comfortable against that changeup. Activity now for the Phillies. Tommy Hunter on the left, the veteran, and that guy on the right, Sir Anthony Dominguez, in addition to having one of the best names in baseball, has been a revelation the last few weeks for the Phillies. They hardly touch him, and he's worked his way into a very prominent role in the Phillies pen. Another changeup, 0-2. I don't know if you mess with a fastball with this kid at all, given those two swings.
Right, and he's 0 for 4 as pinch hitter. A youngster hasn't seen Clippard before, and that's a terrific changeup. He's way out in front of him. You might as well throw it again.
This is where the bench has gotten thin for the Phillies with 2 double switches. Kingery and Altair already came off the bench and into the game. So Gabe Kapler's going down his list of available guys, and he has arrived at Valentine. Oh, 2. With a breaking ball there, and he missed down and in, ball 1.
Valentine is a switch hitter. He is 1 for 8 batting as a left-handed hitter. 1 for 3 right-handed, just called up as Dan mentioned.
A couple of doubles produce a run, then a couple of pop-ups bring us to this situation now. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he got him with a changeup, and Clippard gets out of it. The Phillies get a run, but Clippard does well after that to retire the next 3 batters in order. At the end of 8, it's 6-4 Blue Jays. Here's how it lines up the rest of the weekend. Jaime Garcia will come off the DL to start for the Blue Jays tomorrow against Aaron Nola, a young, really talented pitcher who's taken a step to the next level this year. Jay Happ, the most consistent starting pitcher the Blue Jays have, and a guy who had a couple of hits in a National League game 2 starts ago, will take on Canadian Nick Pivetta from Victoria, BC, who is having a terrific start to his season.
Aaron Nola is 5th in the National League in earned run average at .237. He's also second to Max Scherzer with 6 wins. Scherzer has 7. And here's the veteran Tommy Hunter. Hunter, now 31 years old. Originally signed with Texas, went to Baltimore. He's pitched for Texas, Baltimore, the Cubs, Cleveland, Baltimore again, Tampa Bay, and now Philadelphia. A former starter who made 75 big league starts before making the transition to the bullpen.
Dwight Smith Jr. will pinch hit to lead off the top of the 9th. This is the pitcher spot. Smith hit a home run in yesterday's game. His first major league home run, and he drilled it. And again, in very limited opportunities, Buck, when he's been given the chance at the big league level, he's come through. He's banged out some base hits. Won't do it here as he hits one right out to second for the first out.
It's time to fire up your senses. Your best experience begins with Broil King. Available at your local home hardware. Here's how.
If you're in Philly and you haven't been to the Rocky statue, you got to go to the Rocky statue. It's just one of those things you got to do. Actually saw a tweet from Kevin Pillar today. He took his family, his wife and his baby daughter, who's like 5-6 months old, and they got a picture just standing beside the Rocky statue.
It's part of Philadelphia, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Of course, now they can brag they won a Super Bowl too.
Yes. Here's Curtis Granderson, 1 for 4, single and scored back in the 5th.
And that Super Bowl wasn't in the movies.
No. You know what? It's a great city to just walk around, and whether you like history or architecture or food or whatever, it's a good walking city.
Boy, it sure is. And narrow streets and old buildings and historic buildings on every corner. Independence Hall and Liberty Bell, all kinds of great things to see.
6-4 Blue Jays, top 9. That cutter misses inside, 3 balls and a strike. Blue Jays trying to hang on and win this one. It'll be Ryan Tepera in the bottom of the 9th. With the 6, 7, 8 hitters in the Phillies lineup due up. So that's good. The big boys are a ways away as Granderson bounces one foul. It's a 4 o'clock start tomorrow afternoon. We gave you the pitching matchups. 4 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock Sunday. And again, there is a threat of weather both days. Liner up the middle, but it's caught by Florimon for out number 2. It's one of the things that hitting coaches will talk about. For hitters of this age, your whole life you're conditioned to think if you hit the ball up the middle, it's a base hit. And it's not a base hit anymore a lot of the times because of shifting.
Yeah, and sooner or later, I think hitters got to make an adjustment and just got to change their sights. You can see there's a lot of room from Hernandez to Santana for base hits. So, you know, Josh has the ability to hit the ball in that direction. We saw it firsthand with a pair of doubles up there in Rogers Center, up the alley in right center.
And again, that's a drastic shift where you look at how far to the left of second base the second baseman is. A lot of times when they shift, the middle infielder, whichever way they're going, is just on the other side of the bag. So you hit it hard right past the pitcher, and there's somebody standing there. Ground ball to short. And the Blue Jays go in order. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. Ryan Tepera will be given an opportunity to try to save it with the Blue Jays up by 2.
On Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. It's the best time to find a Honda you'll love.
Bottom of the 9th with the Blue Jays leading 6-4 over the Phillies. And John Gibbons' choice to try to close it out today is Ryan Tepera, who has 3 career saves and has been very good again this season, largely in a setup role, but he's going to be given a chance. I don't know if anybody will call him the closer, but he's going to be given a chance to close this game.
If he closes this one out very efficiently, he'll be called the closer tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
He's had a good season. Yeah, he's throwing hard. When he gets ample rest, he really is effective. He throws it at 96, 97 miles an hour.
6, 7, 8 in the Phillies lineup. Scott Kingery, Jorge Alfaro, and Pedro Florimon. Kingery walked in his only plate appearance tonight. That was back in the 7th. Donaldson even with a bag of third. The rest of the infielders backed up. The first pitch fastball misses just outside.
This is the first time Tepera's ever pitched in this ballpark. It's only his second career appearance against the Phillies. He had a clean inning, and the only time he's pitched against Philadelphia.
And there's a strike. 1-1. Blue Jays got going early with 3 in the first, hit 3 doubles in that inning. Justin Smoak added a 2-run homer in the 5th. The Blue Jays eventually led 6-1. The Phillies, though, got 2 in the 6th and a home run by Carlos Santana, and added another run in the 8th to make it 6-4. Bottom 9. In the air to right field, Teoscar Hernandez for a very important first out. Guy who's really come a long way in the last couple of years.
Yeah, last year was a big turning season for him. He had been shuffled back and forth between the big leagues and the minor leagues so often in prior seasons, but last year he got to stay in the big leagues. He got regular work, and he gained a lot of confidence that his stuff is good enough to be very effective late in the game in the big leagues.
Jorge Alfaro is 0 for 3 on the night. He struck out in all 3 at bats. And a chopper over the mound. Urshela can't get a glove on it. It bounces into center field. Not sure he would have had a play even if he gets a glove on it where it was, but either way there's a man on and the tying run's going to come to the plate.
Yeah, this ball has a lot of top spin on it. Once it hits the dirt behind second, it really jumps and hops over the glove of Urshela. Solarte didn't have much of a chance to get to it. But watch how this ball takes off. It hits off home plate and then really scoots once it hits that dirt right in front of Urshela. He didn't have much of a chance, nor did Solarte.
So here's Florimon. He has 2 home runs on the season. And swing and a miss late on that fastball.
Yeah, Tepera's really got to trust his fastball. You got a guy that's not a home run threat. Stay away from him. Use that fastball in the outer half, and you might get that double play that gets you out of this ball game. Just don't give him anything inside. Keep it away from him.
12 home runs in his career in 768 at bats.
Yeah, he's not a home run hitter by any means, but you certainly don't want to throw him anything inside in this situation.
The 1-1. Up and away.
Russell called for that up and in, but it got away from Tepera. But I still would stay down and away with that good fastball.
On deck is the man now with the number 9 spot in the lineup, Aaron Altair. He's got more pop than Florimon. Two and two.
That's about the best he can do with that pitch, down and away, and he can just get the bat on the ball. Getting these situations where the hitter represents the tying run as a pitcher and as a catcher, say, okay, where can this guy tie it up? Well, for me, it's just something on the inside part of the plate that he just happens to connect with. He is not going to hit an opposite field home run.
2-2 the count, and the throw to first.
To me, that tells me Ryan Tepera's not sure about that pitch because Alfaro's not running.
Challenged him and a foul back.
He had a pretty good cut at that, but he was just a little bit late.
Yeah, the look on his face suggests he thought that was the pitch he had to do some damage with. But that might be the best one he gets. Infielders a double play depth for the Blue Jays. 1 on, 1 out, 6-4 game. And a base hit into right center. Florimon digging for second. And in there in a head-first slide. To third is Alfaro.
They threw him a cutter, and he got to it. With 2 strikes, he's just trying to stay alive. And this ball comes right into him. They want it down. You can see it stayed out over the plate, and he's able to get to it. But it was a cutter, not his good fastball.
Florimon runs well enough to get the second to 2 second, and how big is that? He's the tying run. Now a base hit could tie it, and here's Aaron Altair. Another nervous ninth. Infield back. Obviously, they'll concede the run to get an out as Tepera fires a fastball for a strike.
For years, we have seen very good 8th inning pitchers try to make the transition into closers, and it doesn't work. You got to be a special animal to close out games. Your whole team's counting on you, and you can feel it.
Bullpen is quiet. Outside, a ball and a strike.
Dennis Eckersley, one of the best of all times, used to talk about the emotion he showed at the end of the game. It wasn't directed at the team. It was just to relieve the pressure, because he knew that he was carrying the weight of 24 teammates on his shoulders every time he was out there to close out a game.
The 1-1. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 96 with some movement.
That's his best pitch. Third base side, that arm side fastball, Ryan Tepera can throw it to anybody and just about tell him it's coming. Look at the movement. No chance.
Down low. Tried to throw it again, but he missed his spot. Here, the number 9 hitter, leadoff man Cesar Hernandez is on deck. Second and third, 1 out, 6-4 Blue Jays. And the tying run, Florimon out at second. He's got good speed. The 2-2, way outside to the backstop. A run will score, and the tying run comes to third.
And now the infield has to come in. So when you get a situation where you really want to throw a great slider, you overthrow it, and that's what happened to Tepera. He held on to it too long, and he bounced it out in front of home plate and skipped it right past Russell Martin. He had thrown some great fastballs, and now he's trying to throw a great slider, and look where this ball hits. Deep in the dirt, well behind Martin, and he didn't have much of a chance to glove it. It's past him, and a run comes in as Alfaro scores on the wild pitch.
And this crowd is on its feet now into Philadelphia. Infield in for the Blue Jays with a tying run at third. 3-2. Inside, ball 4. The winning run is aboard. And just now getting up in the bullpen is left-hander Aaron Loup.
Loup's been throwing the ball very, very well, but he's not going to pitch to anybody until you get to Herrera. And if you get to Herrera, it might be over.
Yep. Here's Hernandez, first and third. 1 out, 6-5 now. He shows bunt, takes it up and away, ball 1.
Yeah, he's a very good bunter, and in this defensive alignment, there's a lot of places to bunt it. You can bunt it right at the shortstop. If you get it past the pitcher, it's going to be a base hit. They're going to tie it up. But Donaldson broke from third base. Watch how Josh reacts. He's anticipating the possibility of a bunt. Once he broke off third base, he came in even further.
Outside again, ball 2.
You always hear pitching coaches talk about roles and defined roles. Well, when your closer is gone, that's all blown up.
And it's blown up on the Blue Jays badly twice in the last week. 2-0. Ball 3. And the bases are loaded. And Gibby's on his way to the mound.
Yeah, and this is not going to be a pitching change. This is going to be a little pep talk to Brian Tepera. You got Rhys Hoskins, a right-handed hitter who had an RBI double his last time up. And John Gibbons is just saying, you know what, you got great stuff, throw it over. I believe in you, the team believes in you, let's go. You can't afford another walk. Obviously that would tie the game, but back-to-back walks from Tepera, he's got too good of stuff. And I think that's the message that John Gibbons delivered right there. Manager goes out there and it's one thing: hey, be aggressive, we believe in you, everybody on this field believes in you, and you can get out of it.
Rhys Hoskins, the batter. Tying run at third, winning run at second, bases loaded. With one out in the bottom of the ninth. And the pitch. Down and away, missing badly for ball 1.
The Blue Jays are 17-1 when they have the lead after the 8th inning.
The one being Wednesday against the Angels. One 0. Out of play off to the right.
Phillies have been clutch in one-run games, 7-3. Hoskins had a big RBI double in the 8th. It was off Tyler Clippard.
Fleury-Mon the tying run at third. Altair the winning run at second. Hernandez is at first. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
He was more patient with that slider right there. Didn't try to overthrow it, just allowed it to break, and it was a good breaking pitch.
Two hits, 2 walks, 1 run in for the Phillies in the bottom of the ninth. And for a bullpen that had been so good for most of the season, it's been so tough for them in recent days. Tepera trying to figure out a way to wriggle out of this. The 1-2 just outside, 3-4 inches off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Another slider. He was able to lay off of it.
You want to see that down in fastball to the right-handed batter?
Absolutely. That's his best pitch, and that's one he's got the most confidence in. And if you try to throw a slider, it might back up on you. Stay with your best pitch.
Tepera's already thrown 24 pitches here in the bottom of the ninth. Two. Strike 3 called over the outside corner for out number 2. Hoskins doesn't like it, but it looks like Buck, he just painted one right on the edge.
Absolutely. Went with the fastball, was able to strike him out. Good pitch. Down and away for a strike. Herrera thought the Blue Jays were going to make a pitching change. He stood on the on-deck circle. Luis Rivera, third base coach, said no, no. So he went back to the hitting coach to get information about Tepera. He was waiting on them to make a move to bring Loop into the game. So he went back to the dugout before he came to the plate just to check. Loop's still down there, and it's hard for John to make a move to Loop after going out there and saying, hey, Ryan, you're my guy.
Right. So Tepera facing the most dangerous hitter the Phillies have had this season, Odubel Herrera. Bases loaded, 2 down in a 1-run game.
Roymon went way down the line, and Tepera got a glimpse of him and stepped off the rubber.
First pitch on the way. And a swing and a chopper backs up Solarte to first just in time. And somehow the Blue Jays hang on and win it. And get a much needed victory here in the opening game of this series as Tepera gives up a run but gets the save. And for the moment they can all exhale after a nerve-wracking 6-5 win.
And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you got there, but you won 6-5 in the opener, and the Blue Jays out-hit the Phillies 11-7. It was a very tense 9th inning, but John Gibbons went out to the mound after the back-to-back walks issued by Tepera and said, hey man, you got to do this job. We got confidence in you. He struck out Hoskins and then got Herrera to bounce into that game-ending grounder.
Sam Gaviglio gets a win. Ryan Tepera survives to get the save. We got Blue Jays Central coming your way. Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall.